podcast. I think you mean the podcast.
Oh, get out of here. That and that and that. The rest of you, shoot. Be gone with you. I don't need you. I don't want you. Just gotta check the old live stream. Checking ye olde live stream.
I understand. Yes.
I found copying the link. Go into the Instagrammies.
Yes. Test.
Ye olde live stream.
Okay. You can hear us both. Excellent. Good. Great even. Make Canada better.
Make Canada all right again. Even I will take medium to well done. Let's get the timer out.
We're 8 minutes ahead of schedule.
Canada's not a steak.
What?
Exactly.
What'd you say?
I said Canada's not a steak.
No, it's not.
It's not a steak.
It's a rib.
It's a ribeye steak. In 3.
It's a soup.
2.
Good soup.
1. You don't get this stuff on Spotify or YouTube Music or anywhere else. You only get it on the live stream. That's why you got to tune into the live stream. You get all this bonus stuff. You don't get anywhere else. In 3, 2, 1. This podcast is brought to you by the Arte Media Pantheon. Please head to artemedia.org to see all kinds of podcasts from our great friends. And if you would like to start your own podcast, they will provide you with the tools and resources to do so there. So please head to artemedia.org. That's ARETE media.org. Joe, that was a near stumble. We nearly stumbled there. We landed it.
No, Justin. Don't look back at the explosion. It was flawless.
It was flawless. Everything's crashing around us. Welcome to season 4. It's still chaotic of the Spur of the Moment podcast, everybody. We've been off for 3 weeks, and we're full of podcasting energy. We're real podcasting boys.
Oh, I mean, really, I was feeling a little rusty. I needed to dust off my mic. It had collected a little bit of dust.
But we're back. We're back for season 4, everybody. I am your host, as always. I am Justin Spurr, and I'm joined by my co-host. It's the incomparable Jordan. Everybody, how's your vacation, Jordan?
It was an interesting start.
It was an interesting start.
An interesting start, which we cannot tell the fun story on air.
I mean,
we could.
We can, and I probably will. Later. In hour 2 of the show. Anyway, on today's show, we have
somehow you're right. It feels relevant to one of the things you've watched.
I'm just saying it will feel relevant on today's show. But first of all, the news. Figment. I don't know if you know the Disney character Figment. He might be getting his own show. That's the news. Coco 2. They're going to make a Coco 2, which is really funny.
Which one was Coco?
Pocoloco.
Oh, right.
I thought the timing of that was kind of funny. Disney Plus might be making a Power Rangers show. Will Smith he's doing a big roast. They're going to cancel Saw 11. Last season of Solar Opposites, and other stuff. And then later we're going to do anime. Hopefully we will have a friend who will join us later in the show to talk a little bit of anime for a little while. That's going to be fun. And then at the very end of the show, if you stick all the way to the end, we're going to have a review for that new Looney Tunes movie that we saw this week.
Yeah.
The one we told you all to go watch. Did you go watch it? Because we did. We watched it. And that also leads to some possible exciting news around that as well, that we'll talk about in the news. Anyway, let's start. Where do we start? You know what? Let's start with Coco 2, Jordan. It seems like I'm like the only person on the planet excited for Coco 2.
I'm pretty excited for that. I'm just not clear how you do a second one.
Well, okay. Like every person on the internet I've seen they're like, this is their line in the sand. Like, no, we don't need sequels to the to movies. And I'm like, yeah, but this is the one I kind of wanted to see. My idea for it is like I saw one person's idea be like, oh, don't do another story about Coco. No, because the first movie isn't really about Coco. It's about Miguel. So you do a sequel where it's like, and I know this is kind of cliche, but the cliche is for a reason, and it's cliche that works for me. You do it where Miguel is like an adult and like his kid doesn't want to do a big music, and so they have to go back to the land of the dead for some reason, and then they run into Coco, but she's like not old now, and she takes him on a spirit journey, and he has to learn to get close to his son who he doesn't understand, and then he in return teaches the son about music, and it's a father-son bonding trip.
I mean, I could see that. I could see, I guess, some variation where maybe, and this would be kind of lazy, which is why I think it's what they would do, because that seems to be what they do currently. But I could see a thing where it's like a Happy Feet, where his kid likes dancing.
Yeah,
It's a girl or something, and she likes dancing. And instead of it being about singing, we get to see all kinds of different Mexican dancing
that'd
and
be kind of
dance
fun.
things, and it's about Miguel learning to accept that his son and or daughter doesn't like singing but likes dancing.
Yeah, I'm down with that because
Which again is just Happy Feet, but not with penguins.
I
But
mean, it's keeping it musical.
I think it would work for this.
Yeah, I saw Straw Hat Goofy. His idea was like, oh, you make Miguel an old man, and I'm like, well, no, because I want the kid to come back. Because I've seen clips of the kid singing, and he's still a beautiful singer. So like him, and it's a different kind of singing voice than when he was a kid. So I just think to see him come back as an adult would be interesting.
So yeah, well, I mean that's the other way that you do it is instead of it being Miguel as like a full-on adult, he's a new parent. His kid is like 6 or 7 or whatever. New is relevant. I guess I more mean like he's not like raising a kid who's 18.
Yeah.
Like a kid that was like his age in the first one.
Or here's another pitch. He's like an adult, like a middle-aged ish adult, but he went off
like our age adult.
Yeah, like an our age adult. Where he went off and he became a famous, successful musician, and he like left his kids behind, and he has to like maybe the mom died, and it's like he has to reconnect with the kid, kind of a la Real Steel, where it's like he's an estranged dad.
And then that could explain. You could then do the thing where, yeah, the kid hates singing because the dad abandoned them.
Yeah,
and that's why the kid prefers like some other thing.
Yeah, because I'm like, you do Miguel has a kid and takes him to the land of the dead, and Miguel gets to do the I've done this before thing.
Yeah, and then that way you could bring back characters from the first one.
Exactly. You can bring as many of them as you want back. You could be like, oh, the grandma died in between movies. Like, oh, she's in the land of the dead now.
The grandma died at the end of the last one. Oh, you mean not great grandma? You mean grandma?
Yeah. You could be like, oh, she died. Yeah, she's in
yeah. You could bring her back, or even the mom. Although that would be sad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could be like, oh, they died, and bring any number of characters, or you could have it where like, yeah, it's a way to bring back every Land of the Dead character. Bring back De La Cruz for revenge. Be like, oh, you're just like me now. You're a prick. You became
so do
me.
Do we have any word though on what it is gonna be?
No, they just announced it. Yeah.
Interesting. We will watch that one with great interest.
Great interest. And you know what? We might as well kick into our Looney Tunes news segment. Jordan, hit the Looney Tunes news segment theme.
Looney
Tune news. That news was way too happy for the news you're about to hear. So okay, so I guess it's a two double edged because
I was more going for jazzy, like classy.
All right. I mean, the good news is that I don't know if it's due to the success of the day the Earth blew up, which we're going to talk about. I don't know if it's in doing just the success of that. I don't know if this was in the works before that, but it's funny you laughed at the name. But Ketchup, the production company Ketchup, they are in talks to buy the rights for that Coyote versus Acme movie for a 2026 release. By the looks of it,
I always knew that I loved Ketchup.
I mean, I love Ketchup, but that's fascinating. I'd be interested to see if they're just like, well, we were expecting to lose money on this anyway. Yeah, why not? But good. That's good.
I would. I want to see that.
Hopefully,
I
people
never
show up to that.
understand the idea of having like a fully made movie and then that you spent millions on and then not releasing it. Like I don't understand how that does nothing but cost you money.
There's a tax break they get when they do it.
Yeah, I don't understand that. That's what I'm saying.
Of course we don't.
We're Canadian. I don't get how that works. Yeah, I don't get it, man.
But it ultimately just seems like Warner Brothers is on the verge of breaking up with, or I hate Looney Tunes now, which is I find ironic because they're the brand I must associate with Warner Brothers. Like
I mean, yeah. Bugs Bunny was always in the Warner Brothers thing at the end. It was
yeah, he's in the logo, right? Like that's what they're known for, and just the fact that they're not being supportive of this movie, of these characters, these legacy characters, it's just so frustrating for me.
Not even just that they're legacy characters; they're beloved legacy characters,
right?
Like a built-in revenue source. Like, I don't get it, man.
Apparently, they're in talks.
Also, I agree. Word 789. Release the Coyote cut.
No, it looks like there's a chance. It looks like there's a chance it could happen. Let's keep our fingers crossed. And hey, we're gonna say this again at the end. Go if you have the chance. Watch that friggin' Porky Pig Daffy Duck movie. For the love of God, support the Looney Tunes because they need it.
Watch it in theaters if you can. If you can't watch it in theaters,
buy it on digital. Yeah, buy it on digital.
Buy it, rent it, spend money towards it.
Put money towards it because Warner Brothers needs to see that the characters are successful because they're looking to sell them. Apparently, rumor goes.
Yeah, Word 789 says Space Jam 2 ruined that relationship. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I liked elements of Space Jam 2. Like buried underneath layers of crap there's a good solid Looney Tunes story. We're gonna talk about it when we get to
it had potential.
Eric Bauza loves these characters and is phenomenal. We'll talk about him later.
Yeah,
but they're looking to sell the Looney Tunes. Warner Brothers looking to sell the Looney Tunes. It just makes me think of that bit from Spider-Man where it's Norman Osborn being like just paste the Looney Tunes logo on top of his face, being like, "I built this company. You can't do this to me.
Do this to me.
Do you know how much I sacrificed?
Look at Space Jam 2.
There's that weird domestic show that's actually kind of funny.
There's the Ren and Stimpy one, which is not. Oh
God! Speaking of Ren and Stimpy, you know that Disney Ren and Mickey Mouse by way of Ren and Stimpy. Ugh.
Yeah, I hate that.
Hate it.
But I mean, hey, maybe if they do sell the Looney Tunes, maybe Disney will snatch them up too and continue owning everything in the world, and we'll get a sequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I saw someone who they were like, for the love of God, all that is holy, do not let Disney buy the Looney Tunes. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. That's a fair swipe.
Sorry, I'm getting a message. When do we need our guest to join the Discord?
11:30.
11:30?
Yeah.
Also, may need a refresher or an invite on how to join because it's been a while. Hold on. You keep vamping. I'm gonna respond.
Sure. I'm vamping. What was I saying? Looney Tunes. Yeah, Looney Tunes. Yeah, it's a shame. Support the Looney Tunes, folks. Get out there. Watch the Day the Earth Blew Up if you can. Buy it on digital. We're gonna talk about that movie later. You know what? I'll move on to the next story. Jordan,
I'll try and multitask.
You just you just go about your multitasking. Jordan, they announced the title of that Big Bang Theory show.
Oh, the one that's all about Stewart or whatever?
Yeah, it's apparently going to be called Stewart Fails to Save the Universe. And it will continue the story of Stuart Bloom. And, like, it's apparently going to have...
Why? I don't get that. He's not really that good of a character.
As previously stated, it will have his girlfriend, Bert, the guy, and then it's going to have Kripke in it, apparently. Which, like, automatically kind of makes me slightly more interested. Because I kind of like Kripke. I think Kripke's funny. And also the actor who plays him is funny. But, yeah, I don't get it. I still don't get it. I don't understand the point. Other than, I mean, like, how is that gonna work? Because, presumably, all of the main cast of The Big Bang Theory didn't, like, immediately move. Like, what they imply at the end of Young Sheldon is like, they lived in that apartment still for, like, a while afterwards. So, like, how are you gonna address the other characters not being around? Unless, like, are they gonna periodically guest star as themselves? Like, is this a way for like, them to have, like, Raj or, like, Bernadette and like, Howard and those guys? Because they all work together, right? Like, or is it just gonna be a convenient thing where they're just periodically off stage?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Maybe they'll just have it where they're just always off screen or whatever. But to be fair, there's only really a few that you have to have them consistently see, and the rest you can kind of have on rarely.
To be fair, I don't know what happened. I know that he lives with Howard and Bernadette for, like, the longest time in the original show, but I don't know if he eventually moves out. Yeah, I do know that he gets a girlfriend, but beyond that, I don't know what happens to him.
I mean, the other way that you go about
the comic book shot where they all go to.
I was gonna say the only other way that you do it is you have it be where in the first episode something causes him to sell the comic book shop and move away.
Yeah, but then how are you
like his mother, or like not even necessarily sell the comic book, but like he leaves it there and then has to go somewhere, like his mother dies or is dying or something.
Sure, but then all the other side characters are gonna go with him.
No, why would they?
They're all in the show.
Oh, they're confirmed to be in the show?
Yeah.
I thought you were saying like, are they going to show up?
No, they are.
Are we?
No.
Then yeah. Then I don't understand what your question is.
No, not the main cast. So it's gonna have Kripke. It's gonna have Stewart's girlfriend. It's gonna have
for the entirety of the show or one episode.
No, they're the main cast, and then it's gonna have Bert.
He doesn't even know any of them.
Technically, I suppose he knows Kripke by nature of the. Well, he does in the sense that, like, they're all friends with the main cast, so they've all met at one point or another.
He doesn't. Has he met any of them?
Oh.
I don't remember. I don't remember any scenes where he does. Maybe in the later seasons he starts hanging out with them more.
Maybe.
But
I know that,
like, he was always kind of just a tertiary character.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the bit. These are all like tertiary characters. They're friends of the, like, main cast. That's their whole deal.
Right, but they're friends with the main cast, not with Stewart.
No, that's what I'm saying. So this show doesn't make any sense.
No, yeah, no. Now that I'm not distracted and I'm fully listening to you, no, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Word 789. Of all the people who get a spin-off, it's Stewart.
Right. There's like a bajillion combination. It's because none of the main cast wanted to do a spin-off. That's why.
Yeah,
and they wanted.
Okay.
And
I don't get. Okay, I don't get it.
And the Georgie Mandy one has been weirdly successful. Like, it's weird. I still think it's weird. It looks like a parody sitcom because the original version of it was not this, so it looks weird and, like, Frankenstein-y to me. But I will admit some of the bits are funny, and they've done a decent job of, like, it's kind of a soft sequel to Young Sheldon, where, like, there's an episode where the mom shows up for Thanksgiving, and she...
the mom shows up in Stewart's show?
No, this is the Mandy.
Oh, Richie and Mandy.
Mandy Georgie show. She shows up on episode. So, like, yeah, they clearly want to do that again with other characters. And yeah, unless this is a vehicle for, like, to have the main cast occasionally guest star, what's the point?
Yeah, well, that would be my guess.
Or how do you explain away how?
One thing that I would want is like at the very least is you have one episode where Sheldon and Amy, and more specifically, like most of it is Amy. And you have her be like, yeah, sorry, Sheldon couldn't come, but he's busy working on his manuscript.
Yeah.
And then like there you go. That's why Sheldon's never there.
Right. Or like, yeah, there's any number of ways you could just have Howard pop in for an episode, like, hey, I'm here at the comic shop.
Sorry, we couldn't get
Jim Parsons.
Can't think of what's the main characters in the original.
Oh, Leonard.
The main guys. Sorry, we couldn't get. Sorry, sorry, back up. Penny's there and is like, Leonard would have wanted to be here if he hadn't died.
Right? Like you
you find out that he's dead.
Yeah, any number of those you could do.
He died in a car crash driving Sheldon somewhere. He died as he lived, being Sheldon's bitch.
He died as he lived. They both died. Yeah. Okay. Apparently, Jordan. Apparently.
That's how you explain why none of the other casts are there. They just all died. Or Raj had to go back to India.
Sorry, I'm just reading to see. Yeah, no, it doesn't clear. Okay, cool.
Raj's parents set him up in an arranged marriage, and he had to move back to India. That's why he's not there.
That's why he's not there.
There'll be an excuse for all of them. Howard decided to do the astronaut thing again, and he went back to space.
10 years later, and they all moved away. Is what some variation thereof. Yeah. I mean, again, this is the kind of space where it's like, yeah, nobody gave a shit that it was a Stewart spinoff. It was just a vehicle to bring the cast back without having to sign them to a new show.
Yeah, have them for one-off episodes here and there.
Yep. And be like, this is the sequel to Big Bang Theory.
The guest is on standby.
Excellent. Jordan, are you familiar with the character Figment?
No.
It's the Disneyland character where he's a dragon. It's the one that they wanted to like replace Mickey Mouse with. He's a purple dragon. No, doesn't sound familiar. Yeah, they're making a movie about him apparently, a show about him.
Okay.
Yeah, they want him to replace the mouse.
Is he like post 2000, before 2000? Like when? I don't. I literally have no idea who you're talking about.
It's this guy.
Yeah, it's just blurry.
It's a purple dragon.
Your filter is just making it blurry.
No. Yeah, they're making a show about him.
Okay. Why are they getting rid of the mouse?
I guess the copyright thing, because they kept having to fight the character in court for copyright, so they want to... Allegedly, anyway. I don't know if that's actually true, but that's what people keep saying.
Oh. Okay. I have no strong feelings about that. I have no idea who you're talking about.
Speaking of Disney, apparently they're going to make a Disney Plus Power Rangers show made by the people who made Percy Jackson.
Is it going to be as terrible as the live-action movie was? Because if so, no, I don't want that.
I saw people on.
I saw all this news where it's like, yeah, there's going to be a live-action Power Rangers show, and I'm like, Power Rangers has always been live action.
That's the whole
deal. What are you talking about? Like, this doesn't sound exciting to me. Okay, you're telling me they're doing a 35th season of Power Rangers.
Right.
I want an animated one.
Right. Like, all right.
So if you said to me Disney Plus was going to do like an anime version of Power Rangers, okay, that sounds dope.
Right. I'm like, all right. They're doing, why? Okay, it's going to be on Disney now. So it's going to get some Disney money, I guess. And then I saw a bunch of people online being like, and
Disney owned Power Rangers before. They did the Ninja one, Ninja Storm. This isn't new. What's new about this?
Right. I guess maybe it's going to be an adaptation of the original first season. I don't know.
Okay.
But
I don't.
I saw a bunch of people online, and these are all an incorrect opinion, by the way. They're an objectively incorrect opinion, and I'm about to tell you why. But they were all like, oh, they need to make Power Rangers super ultra dark. And I'm like, no. No, number one, Power Rangers is already dark enough. And like that's someone said, oh, they need to make it. They need to make it.
Hold
on, let me finish. Let me finish. They need to make it as dark as Animorphs. To what I would say, Power Rangers is as relative to young adult fiction as can be, about as dark as Animorphs in the sense that like characters die, things are violent, there's explosions, like things blow up, like it's about as relatively violent. But no, you don't want it to be any more dark than it is, because when it is, it becomes that 2017 movie, and that 2017 movie is fucking garbage. Now you may say,
yeah, no. Oh, I was gonna say it's also just supposed to be for kids. It's for kids.
The thing about Power Rangers ultimately, right? The original Power Rangers is, yes, it has its moments. When you intentionally try to take Power Rangers seriously, it doesn't work because Power Rangers already took itself seriously. Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you
well,
don't...
as serious as it needs to be. Like, the one where it's basically Terminator or Time Force, or like those have moments of severity, of seriousness. It's like what you're talking about is not what they're talking about. They want like realism, heart, depth, but what they think they want is gritty, dark, like
which Power Rangers has in spades. It has.
I mean, they have enough of that.
Well, no, I'm just gonna say they have heart, they have character, they have all these things. You just need to watch it. Like, you don't want to like. They're like there's this really terrible fan film that exists. It's terrible. It's garbage. That has I think it's James Van Der Beek and Katie Sackhoff in it. That everyone's always like, they need to make a Power Rangers movie that's like that. No, that movie's terrible because it misses the point of when Power Rangers like Power Rangers. It's the same thing when. That anniversary movie, the Billy one, where it's like that remembers Power Rangers as being way sillier than it is. Like Power Rangers,
it's a fine line.
Yeah, it took it. It contains silly stuff. Like it has Goldar, one of the goofiest looking characters in all of fiction, but he takes himself seriously. He believes he's the scariest, baddest, and like roughest thing on the planet. So you do as well. And that's why Power Rangers works, is when you tip that line, it doesn't work. So yeah, if you play it, like it's like, I mean, to be fair, that 2017 movie I've talked about before, it had potential, we were currently, spoiler alert, preparing for next week as well. And like, in Japan, this shit gets serious. Like, it gets super serious.
Yeah.
But it's still like silly. If that makes sense.
Yeah. It's well, that's where I say it's capable of having depth, but it also can be light.
Yeah.
It knows the balance, and it's capable of walking that tightrope.
Maybe those Percy Jackson guys will nail it. Who's to say?
Like I said, I'm not. That's not news to me. Another live action show. Ooh, who cares? I want an animated one.
True, but I mean, it also depends on, for me, how it looks. Like if it looks good.
It's just another live action one. It's been done. I want something fresh, which would be animated.
Yeah, but again, part of the appeal. I don't disagree with you, but much like part of the appeal of these kind of suit up shows, like I don't mind getting an American version of it. Like that's not my issue. It's just like, and I didn't even mind. Yeah,
we had that.
Yeah, but that'd be like we've had 10 seasons of Sentai. I want to see a new season of Sentai. I'm the same way about Power Rangers.
Absolutely, I want both. Yeah. I don't mind that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there's an issue that this exists. I'm saying on top of this, if they have a deal to make stuff, it would be cool if we additionally got an animated show.
I don't disagree with that. I wouldn't mind it.
I think there can be more of everything in the world.
What story should we do? Let's do the Will Smith. Jordan, apparently the next big Netflix special, this is going to be fast. This was going to be fast, but I thought it was funny, is a Will Smith roast. So
can his ego handle that?
I was going to say, is he contractually going to be allowed to slap every single person who goes up? Is that going to be part of the deal?
Only if they don't keep his wife out their goddamn mouth.
Or is this like a case of like he is specifically doing this to prove that he can take a joke? Like he needs to sit there and look like he's laughing at like horribly debilitating. Like I just don't know who. I guess maybe there's people who are in a line to be like, oh, I can't wait to take him down a peg. No,
see, the thing is that if they have to end it with
Chris Rock has to just lay into
thank
him,
you.
right? Yeah.
Chris Rock has to be the final person on the stage. He has to lay into him, and he has to do nothing but make jokes about the slap.
I just like it's the only thing we get. That's the only reason this exists is purely so people will stop making fun of him for that. Like it has to be, right?
I would think so. Yeah. That would be my evaluation.
Yeah, apparently they're gonna cancel. They're canceling, and it's over the dumbest reason. They're canceling Saw 11 because apparently the guys who make Saw are having this big disagreement about where the franchise should go. So they're just not gonna make it.
I mean, give it a year or two. That'll change.
Apparently, the only way it'll happen is if they completely reboot it, which like I'm not against because like. That last one was sort of weird, and I don't know that I wanted another one where he's a weird guy that somehow has to take place between the events of other movies.
For me, it's just there's so many of them at this point, and it's like, where do you? Is it now in between one that's in between one that's in between one? Like, there's only so many you can do before you kind of have to reboot it. That on top of which the guy that plays Jigsaw isn't getting any younger.
No, and my thing is just like. Yeah, I don't think Jigsaw needed a nemesis to carry forward into future movies. Like I just don't think he needed it.
I mean, you can if you want to give him one and completely change the nature of the entire thing. Yeah, reboot it and start it from the beginning. Give him a Moriarty, or I guess a Holmes.
Yeah,
I don't know. He's a bad guy, so you're gonna have him up against another bad guy, and they're gonna have a competition of killing people. Like I don't get it, man. Too much, man.
Okay, Jordan. Let's. I got twofold, two pop for the stories.
Tupac. You got Tupac to come in.
I got two pops. No. Update from our last bonus news episodes, which you could check out right now. They're up right now, where we just talked about news for a little bit. But one of the news stories was that. Sadie Sink might be playing Jean Grey or Firestar or Mary Jane Watson. And Jordan, in an update, she has responded to these. Let us play Marvel Superhero Interview News Roulette. What do you think she said, Jordan?
I mean, these are always boring. I think it's something along the lines of, "Oh man, I don't think the big Marvel Corporation will allow me to confirm or deny anything. All I can say is I'm really excited by the opportunity."
No, what she said was, "I have nothing to say about this. The rumors are really cool, though. It's an awesome rumor."
I mean, that's basically what I said.
You didn't acknowledge that it was an awesome rumor, so you lost.
Fuck you.
You lost. I'm sorry.
You lost.
I make the rules.
I make the world, Mr. Kent.
Anyway, finally. Oh yeah, Solar Opposites. The last season of Solar Opposites. We don't watch. I don't really watch Solar Opposites. I just was impressed that it managed to, considering that show was like.
That's the Rick and Morty guy, right?
It was the Rick and Morty guy, and then they fired him because he's a sex pest, and then they replaced him with Dan Stevens for I think like 3 seasons at this point, 2 or 3 seasons, and they did the really funny thing of when they changed the voice. He just went, "Yeah, this is my voice now. This is what I talk like.
Yeah.
Deal with it. Deal with it. Get over it." Yeah, and he's been. I think it's been 3 seasons. I'm pretty sure this will be the third or fourth season. So I was just impressed. That show was like 90% Justin Roiland, so that was really admirable. That show trucked along. Like Rick and Morty, not so much, but that was always going to truck along without Justin Roiland. He put in minimal effort, but the Solar Opposites, that was admirable. But no, the final news story is there are images of what I thought was going to be a Mortal Kombat 2 trailer this week. I thought for sure, but it was just a bunch of images. I think I sent them to you of Johnny Cage, Jax, Nina at what looks like a Mortal Kombat. So good news, everybody. They're probably going to do a Mortal Kombat.
I just remember the singular images that you sent me, also of Shao Kahn.
Yeah. Shao Kahn's there as well. It looks like they're doing Shao Kahn, which means they're probably going to do a big Mortal Kombat in the next movie, which, like, that's what
Some
everyone wanted.
variation of it anyway,
Yeah.
which is kind of the big thing. And I mean, you're gonna have other random one-off, like not one-off characters, but other recognizable characters who won't make it to the next one because they'll have at least one fatality.
Oh, I'm sure they'll have at least one fatality. But yeah, by the looks of it, I don't think they've released any plot details yet. But yeah, it looks like they're gonna do some variation of the first Mortal Kombat tournament, which is Liu Kang. Liu Kang wins. He's the first Mortal Kombat champion. And that's pretty neat. That like anytime anyone's like, movie's doing good in Japan, they want to do good in Japan. But like that's an example of a movie that did really well. Not Japan, sorry, China. That's a really my brain's in China already. That's a really good example of a movie doing really well in China and not really doing well anywhere else, giving it a sequel. And that is particularly admirable because that came out during that bit where they were doing day and date streaming release, where they would put it in theaters and then they would put it on streaming on the same day. Just about killed the movie industry.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's it. That's the news. That's the news of the day. Real quick, I realized before we jump into
our guest says good for me to join now, which I figure I'll save 5 minutes so you can do the sponsorship.
Yeah, give me like a hot minute. Yes. Yeah, we have a guest pop in here in a moment. I'm gonna put her information in the description later, so you can go follow them. But this episode is brought to you by Vizard.ai. I have been using it to edit shorts. I'm going to try putting it out there. You can use it on all kinds of cool stuff. It like separates all your clips out for you automatically. It gives you a rating on how viral it'll go. I'm just in the middle of testing it now, but I'm going to put a link to the description. If you're like me and you make internet videos, it's really useful. And real quick before they jump in, I just wanted to mention. I meant to mention this at the top of the show, while Jordan communicates with them. We got a lot of comments recently that I feel like it's important to address. One in particular that is accusing me and Jordan of being clones, and I felt it was important that we respond to the fact that the accusations that we are clones by finally addressing that. Jordan, how about that weather?
Oh man, that weather.
How about it's not very nice weather today?
No, it's a little wet.
Oh, and the other comment I got, which I feel I must address, is we got one. The basic abridged version of it is they were like, "Oh, you should study IMDb so you at least know the names of the actors before you do this. You know, it's not cool." To wit, I have two responses. Number one, I'm not going to do that, sport, and here's why. If I did that, if I said actors' names to Jordan, number one, it would be way less funny, and I like being. It's way more funny when I don't. Number two, even if I did, Jordan wouldn't know who any of them were, so it would be wasting my time.
I'm terrible with names of people that I see in real life, let alone actors.
I'm just saying.
Who are you? Who are you again?
Exactly. Internet commenter. I'm not gonna.
Oh no, I meant you, the person that I'm talking to. I've forgotten your name. Who are you?
I'm good, Jordan. That's it. Do they need help joining the Discord?
I already sent that in the last bound of messages, so hopefully not. They said they'll be on in 5-ish minutes, and that was a minute or so ago. So, yeah, you liking that weather?
Weather's pretty nice. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Visit.ai. Oh, also,
I wore this toque so that they would be able to tell us apart, since we're apparently clones.
No, Jordan, we're not confirming nor denying.
Oh, right, no, right.
Confirming or denying.
We are not confirming or denying, but now you can tell us apart.
It's true.
It's
true, you could. The neat thing about being live on the internet, Jordan, is if they need to, I can show them how the Discord works on the stream.
I don't think they will.
All right.
Maybe.
All right.
I don't know. I don't know what needs to be known by the things that need to be known.
That's fair.
Or when they need to be known.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, we're gonna talk about some animes.
Yes, we are.
We're gonna be talking about some anime. Watch me through the Discord right now. Back to the thing. There we go.
Dead air.
Dead air. No, it's not okay. I guess I could pull up one of the news stories that I dropped while we were waiting. I ran through that because I was like, oh, they're sitting there waiting, but I guess they're not.
They are, but we asked for more time. And I didn't pick the time. I said 2-ish minutes. And then they responded, okay, I'll be there in 5-ish. And I was like, okay.
All right. Yeah, apparently American Dad is moving from TBS back to Fox, which is interesting. I've never heard of that happening before. I saw some people thought that it might go Hulu exclusive because, like, Seth MacFarlane desperately wants to be off of Fox. But
I mean, all I know is that I want Seth MacFarlane to stop working on that Ted TV show so he can finally go do the Orville.
Seth MacFarlane. Go do season 4 of the Orville.
To go do season 4, 5, 6, and 7 of the Orville and stop wasting your time with Ted.
Right? No. You could occasionally make Ted. Ted's actually pretty funny. I actually like Ted.
I could care less about Ted. Just keep making the Orville.
I would
give it to my whims, not his.
I would tolerate both. Is what I'm saying.
I won't because I want the Orville.
It's what I'm saying.
It's the better show.
I mean,
ladies and gentlemen of the audience, go and watch the Orville.
Go watch Orville.
Don't waste your time with Ted. That's just Family Guy, but with a teddy bear.
I mean, yeah, but Family Guy, but with the teddy bear is also pretty good. Oh yeah, they confirmed that season 4 of the Invincible is coming.
Oh yeah, I'm working on catching up on that.
Yeah, and they're introducing a whole new storyline that is not in the comics because of annoying people on the internet who want to spoil the comics.
Oh, well, maybe that means that it won't take them 20 years to get it done because they don't have to wait for the comic book to come out.
Yeah. This last season was really good. We'll talk about that another day, but that was really good.
That's gonna have to be in the future when we do comic books that aren't Marvel.
Comic books that aren't Marvel.
And I'll finally be able to get it done.
Get her done. Get her done.
I'm gonna just try and message and be like, you can join now.
I'm just doing rapid fire news stories while we kill time. Waiting for the second half of the show. It's all good. We're re-adding, and oh yeah, Jason Momoa is playing Lobo, and he did an interview that was really funny where he nearly showed the guy.
They said okay.
Oh, there they are.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh hey.
Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome. Excited to talk about some anime?
I am.
Excellent. So, Jordan, which one should we do first? Beastars or Boy and the Heron?
Let's go with Boy and the Heron first.
Go on the Boy and the Heron first? Sure.
Actually, maybe we should let the guests choose.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was putting it to the group. I was putting it to a vote.
I'm cool with Boy and the Heron.
Cool.
Boy and the Heron it is.
I really like that movie.
I also really like that movie. I think it's very cute. It's very, very Studio Ghibli. I love Studio Ghibli. I don't think there's been a Studio Ghibli movie I haven't enjoyed.
Yeah. Now, here's the question I was going to ask you, both of you, when we did this again, which is, do you feel that the final character, the one who's like the one played by, if you watch the dub, Mark Hamill, who's keeping the world together, that's Hayao Miyazaki, right? Like this is like a metaphor.
I absolutely think so.
I can see that.
Yeah, it's like a metaphor for passing on storytelling almost.
Because this was supposed to be like his final one, and it definitely feels like a crescendo to all of his other things. That character, absolutely, to me, I can see if it's not intentional, then that would surprise me because I can see that it very much feels like that.
Yeah, And it's like you don't want to give that character away. I mean, we are here, but we already talked about this before. But we like it's just it's just a beautiful, in my opinion, analogy metaphor for storytelling and just passing on storytelling to the next person, to the next generation.
Yeah, and also just in terms of, it feels like he's talking to his son, who he's like, you don't have to continue my world. You can go build your own.
Yeah, yeah,
and that's okay. Like that's fine.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just the soundtrack, the beautiful music,
and the animation. Man, I love Studio Ghibli animation. It's to me, it's always kind of the peak of it. And yeah, the characters are just they're usually likable. Even the Heron himself, who starts off not being his friend, and by the end, I love the final scene where he's like best of luck to you, friend. Now, and it's like.
Now, did you watch it in Japanese or did you watch the dub like we did? I assume, Jordan, you watched the dub.
I watched the dub.
I watched the dub, and I watched it between last night and this morning for the first time.
Nice, nice.
Nice.
Did you know that the Heron is played by Robert Pattinson? I love saying that because it's such a bizarre. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I didn't either.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I could tell that the guy at the end, I could tell that he's Mark Hamill. He has a very distinct voice.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't know that was Robert Pattinson.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Anytime anyone's like, "Oh, I don't like Robert Pattinson's not a good actor," I'm like, "You need to watch Boy and the Heron. It's really good. He's really good in it. Like, it's just really good."
I love all the birds. There's just so many birds.
I'm loving all the birds.
Interesting. Apparently, it has the Boy and the Heron has autobiographical features. So the protagonist mirrors Miyazaki's childhood, and Miyazaki's father, like Mahito's father, was employed by a company involved in the manufacturing of fighter plane components.
That explains a lot. Because
they also, his family, Miyazaki's family, also had to evacuate from the city to the countryside during the war.
Oh, interesting.
He's telling his own story, kind of.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's so a lot of this is apparently semi-autobiographical. Hospital fire at the beginning of the film evokes personal parallels with Miyazaki's loss of his mother. Miyazaki's or Mahito's emotional connection with his mother parallels Miyazaki's love for his mother. Yeah, it sounds like a great chunk of it is very personal to him.
That explains his love for his love for fighter pilots. Because he made The Wind Rises. I don't know if you've seen The Wind Rises, but that was about I think it was construction of one of Japan's fighter planes. That is, his was like initially going to be his final film, and then nobody liked it, so he came back and made this, which I think is a significantly less boring film. Yeah, I knew I had to watch the dub because I had heard that Robert Pattinson was phenomenal. And Jordan, did this win the Oscar? I believe it won the Oscar.
Give me a second and I'll find out. Did Boy?
I'm gonna say it did. I'm gonna say it did.
Win an Oscar. Wins Oscar for Best Animation.
Yeah, I knew it. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was well deserved. It's just
absolutely
stunning. My thing with I discovered this week because I watched a bunch of Ghibli films, not Miyazaki films, but Ghibli films, and they're just like sound design. It's just so good. Like when that opening shot when he like bursts out and he's running down the floor and you just hear his feet go pa 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 pa. It was like you really like felt the urgency. I was like, this is really really good. It's really, really cool.
There's a lot in this movie to love, and I definitely can see why it won an Oscar. I definitely think it deserves to win an Oscar.
Oh yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoy this one.
I do too.
Me too.
It's kind of my ultimate summation of this one. Is I very much enjoy it.
Where is it for each of you? On your Miyazaki scale, like is it one of your favorites? Is it one of your least favorites? Like my favorite is always going to be Kiki. Like this is not Kiki for me.
My favorite's always going to be Kiki. I have a very
or Totoro.
I like Totoro, but I Kiki's my favorite. A World of Arietti is up there as well. I really like that one. This one's up there near the top. For me, the one near the bottom is, and this is just because it was less whimsical for me. Is the Wind Rises.
Yeah.
That one's not one of my favorite ones, but this one's solid kind of upper echelon, I would say.
Interesting. What about for you? Where is it on your like 1 to 10? Like, not that they're all great movies, but like if you had to pick a favorite, had to pick a not favorite, is this one of your favorites? One of your not favorites?
I'd put it up there. Like my favorite Miyazaki films are I love Howl's Moving Castle. I love Princess Mononoke. The Cat Returns, real fun.
I wanted to watch that one.
It's very, very, very interesting. But yeah, I'd put it up there. Like I usually go for, I don't know. Yeah, just beautiful.
Like the more surreal, like painting style. Like it's just about
the ranking them because there's just I don't know. Each film is its own unique little capsule of an experience. So I'm like, I just love them all.
That's kind of my thing. Is that for me? I haven't seen them all, so it's still a list that I'm very much going down. But whenever we do these, it's a real. I have to hold myself back so I don't just watch all Miyazaki films, and I watch other things too.
Yeah,
Sorry?
I should say you want to balance it. Actually, for me, what happened to me is I watched a lot of. I learned that while every Miyazaki film is a Ghibli film, not every Ghibli film is a Miyazaki film.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because there's a game and its sequel that I've been playing recently, which is animated. The 2D animated scenes is animated by Studio Ghibli, but I don't imagine Miyazaki worked on them.
No, his stuff has a particular whimsy,
which I'm blanking on the name of.
I know what game you're talking about. I'm blanking on the title too. But I'm like,
Ni no Kuni. That was it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that one.
Ni no Kuni.
Yeah, they have a particular. They have a particular art style, but they're not all the same. We'll get into why.
Which it's fun game. As an aside, first one is definitely more old school JRPG. Anyway, that's a different conversation. Sorry, go ahead, Justin.
I was gonna be like, do you have anything else before we dive feet first into Beastars?
I was just gonna say, in terms of The Boy and the Heron, one of the things that I remember when I watched the first time, where it caught me not off guard necessarily, but surprised me. Not surprised me. Didn't see coming, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Was that the girl that that casts the fire and does all the fire? In fact, that ends up being his mom when she was younger.
Yeah,
and I'm like, did not see that coming. That definitely got me the first time.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid twist. Yeah.
I wanted to call that out.
You're not expecting it because it's Miyazaki. His stuff is always like. There's an element of like surrealness to it where it's kind of weird, but it always at least like he doesn't do twists. That's not his thing.
No, yeah,
like
not really anyway. Not big
really.
twists.
No, not really.
But yeah,
I wanted it a bit though, like the scene with the on the ship with the fire, and like there was parts of it that kind of looked similar to the flashback scene and like the beginning scene, and I was like wondering. I was like,
That's fair.
Yeah,
maybe like because they kept saying like their family people end up being absorbed like into this world, so like maybe.
Interesting. yeah, I hadn't even picked up on that. Like that's that just shows different brains different ways.
Yeah,
but no, yeah, it totally got me the first time.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Beastars. Okay.
I didn't. This was Justin's. Okay. I didn't watch this one, so
I'll
let Justin field the questions. I now judging from his reaction, I'm interested to watch it. I might do it in my own time.
Yeah.
But
Okay. This is gonna be my pitch to suggest maybe you should. All right. First off, are you, when it comes to anime, like a dub or a sub person? Like, do you prefer watching in Japanese or English?
I prefer dub just because I don't want to read stuff while I'm watching stuff if I can
Beautiful.
avoid it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
If there's no other option, then I'm like, all right, subtitles.
That means you've watched the dub. That makes okay, because I have a number of jokes about the dub. Up top, this is not. Have you read the manga? Are you a manga reader?
Yes, and I've
Okay.
read all of it. I read
Okay.
it a couple years back.
So you're completely 100% caught up in the anime?
Yes. Well, the full anime isn't like the second half of the third season.
That was my first question. Because
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I kind of Jordan doesn't. He's got a brain of a goldfish. He won't remember spoilers.
I'm yeah.
But
No, go ahead.
When the wolf gets shot and the episode just kind of ends, I'm like, there's no pathos to this. This can't be the ending. And I quickly went to Google and I'm like, is there a part 2? Like, this can't be all of it. So I'm like, surely there has to be like some form of a happy ending. Okay.
The entire anime exists in a manga form that is like completed.
Yes.
So if
Okay.
you do want to read ahead,
There is an ending. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
but they are. I haven't seen an announcement yet because I was looking it up too. Like, oh my gosh, are they going to finish the anime? Like, what the heck? And then, sure enough, it's like, yes, they will. They plan to, but there's no release date, or at least at the time I checked, there wasn't. So.
Okay. I saw one website said like spring of this year, maybe, and I was like, okay.
Mm.
I do want to see the ending. I want to see how this ends. Look, man. I'm rooting for the wolf and the bunny to get together.
It's worth reading the manga. It's fun because like the anime I would say is very it represents the manga like pretty well,
Really?
but there's so much more detail. Yeah, there's so much more detail in the manga. Plus, like the way they draw like some of the scenes, it's adorably goofy. Like just I don't know, it's comical and like yeah. I
do like this show like quite a bit. I powered through it in a day and a half, all 3 seasons of it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't want to like. It does get slightly uncomfortable at points. I joked for portions of it. I said, it's not the animal fucking so much that like. For me, it's the moment, the metaphor of the predator eating the prey is kind of mixed at times. Like it's muddled at times because okay. Back to the beginning for Jordan. Jordan, just to refresh you, Beastars takes place in a world where all the animals are anthropomorphic, and it's in a very similar fashion to Zootopia, where they're animals, but the social structures are based upon natural, like how these animals would behave in real life. So like, there's predators, there's prey, bunny rabbits. Like the main character, she's the kind of bunny rabbit that breeds a lot, so it equates to her being a promiscuous. Also
they talk about her lifespan, like being born. Like that's a big theme. Is like the beings live differently based on what they are in that world. So at one point, Haru's like the rabbit. She's like, you wouldn't get it. Like I'm being judged for this, but she's straight up like, I don't know when my last day will be. I was born a dwarf rabbit, like just a kind of bottom scale, like prey. In a world where there's predators that exist, so you're gonna live a little faster when you don't have that security of like being a tiger in that world, and like you're not gonna get preyed on as much at all. So think about it.
I think you had mentioned previously the chicken that is selling her eggs, and then how proud she is of selling those eggs, and how she gets upset when she finds out that the egg sandwich he's eating it now tastes bad because she thinks that reflects badly on her, but she doesn't want him to know that he's eating her eggs because that's weird. And like the notion of a predator eating a prey, like it's treated as this taboo kind of thing, and that's where the metaphor as the show goes on, in my opinion, becomes a tad muddled, because in the first season it really seems to equate it to like akin to sexual assault almost. Like when the lions get Haru, and he's about to eat her, he's like got her stripped naked and is like, I'm going to violate you now with a tone. But then later in the series, they start to kind of equate it to being similar to drug use, because in order to beat a bad guy, the lion has to eat a bit of meat. He ends up eating the leg of another student, and so he ends up having to detox himself. And now he's an addict. He's addicted to eating this meat. And a big chunk of the third season, a plot of it is they've created this energy drink which stimulates the part of the brain that goes off when they eat meat. So then it akins it to drugs. And so that's why I'm like, it's kind of muddled. It's like, is the taboo one of a sexual nature as the show, or is it a drug thing? Like, if I were to make a criticism,
both.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of
multiple themes exist in that world. Like it's even though it's like fictional, it's like in our IRL, like there's fetishes that exist. There's taboo. There's crime. There's drug addiction, like all those things also exist. So in their anthropomorphic themed version of that, it's like there's kind of a bit of all of that too, and I find it fascinating to see how it like all interacts with each other.
I totally agree. I found the notion of socializing, or I guess anthropomorphizing, not just like the animals themselves, but their behaviors, like their natural behaviors, and putting like human, like a human thought on it. And I thought that was really interesting. Like the question of, like, just as an example, it made me go for Zootopia. Okay, if the predators can't eat prey, then what do they eat, right? And it's like they show that. There's a scene where they show these are the meals that they've constructed that are like ethical, that aren't like sentient beings that you've eaten, but are also like healthy and nutritious. But then that got me thinking, like, at one point they're selling them fish. So then that made me go, well, okay, so are the fish sentient? Like, where is the, like, because bugs aren't sentient in that universe, so that seems to be the line there. So then you see fish, then they are also sentient, but they have their own language. And so you have, like, there's a character in the later season who is a walrus, and he comes from the ocean world, and their whole system is just structured differently. And so his whole thing is he just hangs around naked because that's just how it is in the ocean. But he's the part of the anime that's not out yet, but in the manga, that's like kind of the next part that they very deeply explore, is like the ocean world being its own kind of the ocean world and how those laws work versus like the land world. And I'm interested in that. The learning from each other is pretty cool. My thing is like there's so much with this. So in the later season, they introduced the concept of, because the whole thing with this is obviously at its core, it's a love story about a wolf and a bunny falling in love. That is a sentence I never thought I'd say out loud. That's what it is at its core, and it's about the special taboos that exist, but interspecies still exists in that world. So, and it is almost like a racial metaphor where, like, the deer, for example, the bunny is in love with the deer at first, and they hook up a bunch. And so then later in season 3, they introduced the concept of mixed species, like
hybrids,
creatures, whatever, characters. Yeah. And so you find out that the wolf is actually part wolf, part Komodo dragon. And that's why he's so big and so strong. It's because he's part Komodo dragon. And so the main bad guy of the third season, because I was talking to my friends about this show, and I was like, this is exactly your guys' kind of thing. And they were looking at the cast list, and they're like, Darren Criss is in this as I forget what the character's name is.
Melon, and he's half gazelle, half leopard.
Yeah. He's half gazelle, half leopard. Yeah, and he's got
gazelle posing featurely as long as he covers his teeth.
Yeah,
but then if he doesn't have the mask on, you see his like leopard like mouth and face.
Yeah, and he's super strong, and and that's where I was like, there was no final. I was like waiting for a final conflict between the two of them that hadn't happened yet, and I was like, but it's like as Darren Criss as him is genuinely like the performances in the dub is genuinely really good. Sarai, did you grow up watching Digimon?
I did watch Digimon.
So I imagine you maybe weren't as off put as I was that the bunny is the same voice as Kari from Digimon.
Oh, wow, that makes sense. Their voice sounded familiar to me, but I couldn't remember from where I'd heard them. That's got to be it.
So when she immediately went for his belt in like the third episode, I'm like, this is odd for me.
Strange.
This is weird for me. But it was like the funny part of the story for the audience. I don't know if Sarai saw this on Facebook because I think I did post the video. But as part of our vacation, we wound up at a hotel that very coincidentally happened to be having a furry convention. And we got onto the elevator, and a guy got onto this elevator with his big furry head, and we were simply delighted. I was delighted. And we ended up hanging out with a friend, and we were all very delighted. We thought it was very funny.
I mean, the funniest part of it is that we weren't even supposed to be at that hotel.
That's what made it so funny.
You were supposed to be at like in a different country completely, and just circumstances happened to put us at the exact hotel at the exact time when they were there. And it's like, you can't make this shit up. And it's so great.
These poor folks, like every time you see one of them, they like give you this energy that like they expect you to be judging them. I'm like, no, man, you guys are awesome. I love you. You're great. Like
you have a great time. Like it looks like you're having a blast. I'm not judging you.
Yeah, and you go have
fun. To me, it's no different than being at any other convention where you have anyone else dressed up as a character.
Yeah, you guys have
fun. It's no different.
So it was just very funny to me. Midway through Beastars, I went, I could see why they like this show. I get it. I understand why they like this show. I like that. It's like, and like me not being funny. There are some genuinely good fight sequences. Like it's well animated. The performances are good. Like I joke to say it's like, if you ever watched Zootopia and went, I wonder if they did it. That's what the show is. But I don't mean that in a bad way. It is very all the questions that movie asks about what would society be like if it was animals instead. I think it asks it in a fundamentally more interesting way, and it actually takes the time to answer them.
Basically, it's Zootopia with a little more depth.
Much more depth.
Much more depth. Ooh, just a ton more depth.
And it's like funny because like some of it, they're still like also the main character. Well, most of the characters are portrayed. They're like literally high school students. And I think they actually capture like just that awkward stuff that people figure out in that too. Oh man,
I love. I'm so bad with character names, but the deer. I love the deer. Louis is phenomenal.
Yeah.
His character arc is phenomenal. He's the one who his whole thing is like he kind of breaks it down to, I don't know that it is, but the main character insists that he has a fetish for prey animals, but I don't know that I agree with that. But that's
more like they Lego share. You're talking about the wolf?
Yeah, the wolf. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He insists he does, but I don't know that I'd say he does.
Louis more like fascinated, I think, by like predator, like carnivores, but in like I don't know, his story is interesting because he's born in the taboo part of the world, like the black market, as like meat for sale under the dark part of the world.
I enjoy him and his dad because like he is such an excellent representative about deer. Because deer seem nice and they look pretty and they seem sweet, but they're not nice. Like they will fuck you up. Like and that's what his dad is ruthless, and so is he. Like I enjoy that hyper-aggression because that is what deer are naturally like, and it's
male deer certainly.
And so that anthropomorphization, like how that is represented in the show is so well done. I love that character.
What do
But
y'all think of the Shishigumi?
yeah,
And Larry with that.
but he I was gonna
Oh my bad.
no, he was, yeah, he's the one who he ends up getting his leg eaten. Oh, that's what it was. I didn't love his arc where he became the boss of the lion guys.
Mm.
Mostly because I didn't love how they became redeemed, because their first appearance on the show, they're the ones who I mentioned were their boss. It's kind of rapey.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
their OG lion was, yeah, not so chill.
Not so
And
chill.
then
No. That's the only time
yeah,
I legit, that made me uncomfortable. Like my number one
oh
thing
yeah,
with any media, like I say, it's not like when she went for his belt in the third episode, I went, all right then, that's happening. But like I wasn't like uncomfortable. Like what made me uncomfortable was, yeah, the hint of, don't like sexual violence. It's just, I didn't think it's, they're already gonna eat her. Like, you didn't need to make it weird. Like, I don't know. It was weird. And then, yeah, then the fact that the next season's like, they're actually big, lovable doofy guys deep down in their soul. Like, I didn't love that. I didn't love that so much. I was kind of hoping they would get wiped out. But that's probably just a me thing. But I won't argue it. It's an effective moment in that you're supposed to be uncomfortable. Like,
yeah. There's they explore so many themes in the show.
I was genuinely surprised by how much I liked it. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a tough show to recommend to people because it kind of comes with an asterisk of being like, it's a little out there. It's a little out there.
I'd recommend it. I'd be like, look, if you want to go on an adventure and you've got like a really open mind and just curious,
That's
it's a time.
That is an excellent way to put it.
It's a time.
That is an.
Like,
Well, I mean, you guys just told me.
I mean, Jordan, you, I think you would like it up to a point.
Probably. I'm weird, so
Yeah, I do.
I'm proudly weird. So
I am very proudly. I like stuff. I like stuff specifically because it's strange.
Different.
Yeah, and different. And I enjoy the different. We're gonna talk about the Rick and Morty anime later. That is the epitome of different. But that's it. That's it for me and Beastars. Thank you for recommending it. I'm absolutely gonna check it out. I'm gonna finish it. When that second season comes out. Now you're only committed for Boy and the Heron and Beastars. We have other anime. You're welcome to hang around and chat about it if you like. Otherwise, you can
stay for as little or as long as you want.
If you need to duck out, just be like, I gotta go, guys, and
we won't be offended.
We will truck on without you, and we will thank you for your time. But Jordan.
We're not, to be clear though, we're not rushing you out the door.
Never.
You don't have to go anywhere if you
Never.
don't want to.
I knew we wanted to talk about Beastars and Boy and the Heron. And
yeah,
I've selected some stuff that I think you might have seen. I took a stab at your taste. So
I just picked a bunch of random things.
Yeah.
So
I tried to be like this seems like stuff that maybe you might have seen. We'll see.
I mean, some of the things on my list here, I don't. If you haven't seen them, they're ones I recommend because I think you will enjoy them. Other ones, I'm not so sure of, but certain ones I do definitely think you will enjoy.
All right, let's say yes or no if I've seen them.
We'll get. Okay. The first one. Words are difficult. Mary and the Witch's Flower is one that I watched, which I think you'll enjoy.
Okay, haven't seen that.
And Child of Kamiari Month is another one, which I think you'll really enjoy. We're going to talk more about those later. That's a little sneak preview.
Okay, also haven't seen it.
But I'll go into more detail once we get to those.
Sure.
Justin, you wanted me to start, though?
Yeah, you go ahead. You go first.
All right. First one that I picked, I'd be surprised if Anna has seen. Sorry, Saria. Saria has seen. Sorry. Godzilla Singular Point. is the name of the. It's actually a show. It's on Netflix. It's a 12-episode show. Um, and it was weird and a little confusing at times for me. So okay, I'm gonna quickly go over it. It starts with like there's these two investigative teams and they keep hearing this song, and then through like a red mist, a Rodan shows up, like a dinosaur bird shows up, and they name it Rodan, and then more of them show up, and there's like flocks of them, and then like and it's all through this red mist, and there's this whole mystery of like what's with the song. It has all this information that's hidden in it. Monsters keep showing up. You get like a spiked back monster, Ankyla, I think it's called.
Angira.
That Angira, thank you. That one shows up at a certain point. Also, that it's the first time that you see Justin would recognize the name. I'm gonna have to look it up because I don't actually remember it. Where is it? It's a giant robot that they make.
Oh, Jack.
Jaguar.
Jet Jaguar.
Jet Jaguar.
Really?
It's apparently the first time. Yeah, it's apparently the first time we've seen him since like the 80s.
Wait. So
Like-
they use Jet Jaguar to fight Godzilla?
So to fight the monsters and stuff, yeah, one of the characters had been working on a big robot like for just such an occasion, and it's Jet Jaguar.
That's awesome.
And so yeah, they fight Rodan with it, they fight Ankyla with it, and they end up fighting Godzilla with it. Also, Godzilla shows up, and like when you first see him, he's more like a he's got like a tail, like he's a fish type thing, and then he comes out on land and he's more like Godzilla, and it's confusing, and I didn't understand why. And then big spoiler for the ending, you end up finding out that the AI that they put into the Jet Jaguar, it was the one that made the song that they were listening to, because throughout the show, there's this whole thing where the monsters, when they come over, it creates this byproduct which they're then able to use to create these things which allow them to break the laws of physics. And so then I guess by the end of it, and the whole point of the show is they're trying to stop essentially the end of the world, which is happening because these monsters keep showing up, and the dust and everything is causing everything to die. And then it's really confusing because they introduce time travel, and it makes my brain hurt. But like, so because the one person who was researching like way in the past was able to connect a device that he used to the future, it then rebounded through time, and it ends up causing this whole loop. And it's I don't fully understand it, and I find it confusing. But it's different. It's definitely a different show. It's interesting to see an anime that has Godzilla in it. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Huh. So you said you had me at Jet Jaguar, Jordan. I need you to know.
That's fair. It's 12 episodes. It doesn't take long to watch. I don't know if it's the favorite thing of all the things I watched this week, but it's definitely one of them.
I can't imagine you've seen this Godzilla anime. Have you seen this Godzilla anime?
I have not, but it does sound fascinating, and I do enjoy Godzilla.
Fascinating.
I've seen many other Zilla flicks.
Yeah, it's
not the anime.
I don't know if it's my favorite from the Godzilla pantheon of things I've seen, but it's not my least favorite. It's more interested in. Sorry, go ahead, Justin.
I was gonna say there's a series of movies, I believe, on Netflix.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna mention.
Planet of the Godzilla, which I don't remember being very good either. I remember they were really boring.
Yeah, I remember them being boring. This one, it features monsters from its Showa era.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I do know that the Planet Godzilla, I think the last one they eventually introduced like multiple Godzillas. So there's like a point in the last one where there's like lots of Godzillas.
Yeah, I just know that there's There's a song that they keep hearing in this one. It's a whole big mystery, and I like the characters. The characters are likable enough. I just find the ultimate summation of what they're doing to be confusing.
Fair. That's fair. Jordan, is that it for your Godzilla show?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, my first one is a show that we used to watch when we were kids. It's a show.
Yeah, that's gonna be a theme this week.
There's a little show about a little hamster named Hamtaro.
It's Hamtaro time.
So I'm going to judge based on your reaction that you have watched Hamtaro.
I was obsessed with Hamtaro to the
Excellent.
point where I got a hamster that year for the holidays. I named her Bijou. I would draw.
That's amazing.
Characters, I was.
I did learn. So I watched about 6 or 7 episodes of it. I watched on Internet Archive, which I seem to be missing episodes because it went from he knew 2 hamsters to there was 10 of them, and the kids could talk to the hamsters, and I was like, "What is?" So do the kids know that the hamsters can talk?
I feel like you really missed a few steps.
That feels like I missed some steps. They had the clubhouse, and I was like, I feel like there's episodes because I remember the episode where they meet Bijou, the French one. And she joins the group. And I remember it being a case of the early episodes being they meet a hamster and then they join the group. So I'm I think this just missed a few episodes, but it otherwise
it feels like the equivalent of all right, step 1, buy the shelf. Step 2, get a hammer. Step 3, you have a shelf.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Y'all got some paper on hands.
But it's every episode is about what you think it is. I will say it is clever about the fact that at least in I watched the dub, and it does that thing where the hamsters know a little bit about the human world, but at Toy Story levels they don't know a ton, and so they get into shenanigans, and it's usually they're trying to help the humans do something. So they drop the floppy disk, gotta help them get the floppy disk, and then everyone sings and dances at the end.
Learns a lesson and sings and dances.
Right, it's a real low stakes kind of show. But I will say, it is apparently there is a bunch of seasons of it in Japan. There's an OVA movie. It's apparently a massive. It's Hello Kitty levels. I almost considered watching Hello Kitty. I will say that, but it's Hello Kitty levels of iconic in Japan. It is a well-known franchise over there. It's very strange.
Cool.
But yes, I love Hamtaro.
That's one that I definitely remember waking up in the mornings, on before school. I think it was on, and you would watch a little bit of it, and then you'd be off to school. I definitely remember that one.
We love that show because of a dear friend of ours named Mavis, who loved her
babysitter / friend.
Yeah, who had she had a lot of hamsters.
She had 4 or 5 or 6 of them, and we would go and stay at her place, be at her place after school and stuff, and we'd create mazes for them, and we would have to try and make sure that her 3 cats didn't get too close because they were obsessed with them. She was great.
Yeah, and they were she was you should watch this cartoon show about talking hamsters, and we were this is delightful.
I believe that was also where we watched a little bit of VeggieTales.
Yeah.
Oh my VeggieTales.
VeggieTales. Who doesn't? Who doesn't love VeggieTales? It's a harmless.
If you want to talk to tomatoes, Sorry, that's not Japanese.
that's Hamtaro. That's Hamtaro. I love Hamtaro. That was a delightful.
So it's funny that you watched a show that was from childhood. I watched a show that I don't remember watching in childhood, but I remember existing, which is Monster Rancher.
Put in your disc.
Put in your disc. It's oh man, it is peak 90s.
I believe it is what they call and someone's going to correct me if I'm wrong, a isekai, I believe.
Journey. Person goes to magical land.
Person goes to a magical land. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, in this one, basically, the main character kid, he plays a video game, which is Monster Rancher, because this is based on a video game. he wins in a championship or tournament or whatever, wins a special disc, puts it in his game console, and gets teleported to a magic land where the monsters are real. And then at that point, it's basically just Digimon.
A isekai is a subgenre of fiction particularly popular in anime, manga, and light novels where a protagonist is transported to or reincarnated in a fantasy or magical world.
Yep, that's basically this one. Basically, Digimon.
It's Digimon.
It's really just Digimon. So yeah, you got the main character. I watched like 13 or 14 episodes, but there's like 3 seasons. I think I read.
Really?
I skimmed ahead. Well, although I think on Tubi where I watched it, I think the first 2 seasons are marked as one season, and then the 3rd season is marked as the 2nd season, because on there it says that the first season has like 50 something episodes, and then the 2nd season has like 20.
You're like, that feels off.
That feels disproportionate.
Yeah.
But I skimmed ahead a little bit, and I mean, it's the 2nd season, or what it says is the later season. Yeah, it doesn't really I would be content having not seen that and only seen the first one, because like the point of the show is basically the main characters. There's this evil bad monster, which, as an aside, is very hard to take seriously because it's called Moo, like a cow, Moo. And it's turning all the monsters evil. So they want to find the ancient good monster who is its rival or its opposite, the Phoenix, because the Phoenix can make all the bad monsters good again. And so the entire first season, that's the status quo is. Beginning of the episode or part of the episode, they find one of the hidden discs. They try to revive it. The bad ones try to stop them from reviving it. They do revive it. Whoopsie poopsie! It's not actually the Phoenix this time. Move on to the next one in the next episode. And then the episode that I saw before this, the one that I just that I watched right before this was big spoiler, you find out that Moo, he's actually one of the main companion girls. It's her dad, and it's like the spirit of Moo is possessing him, and plot twist and all that. And I'm like, yeah, this is pretty classic 90s cartoon anime, like children's anime. It also has so you know how in Pokemon at the end of the episode they have the Poke Rap, and it's the same thing. Like I think the same 3 things every time, cycles through them. This one, instead of having like a catchy fun one that's at the end of it and button hooks the thing really nicely and doesn't disrupt the show at all, this one takes the time every episode, directly in the middle of the episode, to have this really annoying music section which plays the exact same thing every single time, and it completely derails the plot and is very annoying. Justin can attest. Justin can attest how annoying it is.
It's just a guy going, put in your disc.
Put in your disc. Put it done. And he like has like a short little rap section where he talks about some of the characters doing a thing, and it's like this is so derailing. It's no. So that's Monster Rancher. Yeah, it's based on a video game, which I don't know much about the video game, but I believe it was on the original PlayStation 1.
It was. I played that video game one time, like a long time ago. I don't remember it being very good.
I just remember that it feeling very similar to that one Digimon World video game.
Yes, I recall that as well. So my next one, it's funny you went video game, Jordan, because I went video game twice. My next one...
I want to be clear, I didn't intentionally. I had no idea until you mentioned that it was a video game. I didn't know that it was.
Are either of you familiar with a fighting game called Tekken?
Yes. Yes, I am.
There is an anime on Netflix called Tekken Bloodline that is a adaptation of the 3rd Tekken game.
Nice.
That is really good. It's really well animated. The fight sequences are really good. The voice acting is pretty good. And it explains a lot of the little details of Tekken 3. Like, for example, why Jin has his mother's last name. It shows the part of the story or why he has his mother's last name, but yet fights with the Mishima fighting style. It goes into how him and Hayachi train together, and it even goes so far as to explain, like, when you play those games, when you punch people, it has that, like, energy that bursts off of people. The show goes so far as to explain that that's like fighting energy that explodes off of you. The characterizations are like pretty close. They're quite a bit more nuanced, but they're still like relatively close to what they are in the games. You get like the main matchups. It basically aligns all of the characters' like stories from the arcade modes in a way that, so like Paul Phoenix, his trainer is martial law, and it's kind of neat because it slots into the story of Tekken 3. So Tekken 2 has happened. So like in the previous in Tekken 2, Tekken 2 and Tekken 1. So this is the third Iron Fist tournament. So Kazuya won the first one, took over, and then they thought that he had killed Hayachi. Hayachi came back and won the second one, and nobody really knows what happened at the end of that fight. Nobody knows what happened to Kazuya. He just disappeared, which is the same thing that happened in Tekken 3. Kazuya's not in that game. And yeah, it's just a really faithful, like, you get to see, it goes along, like, each episode's
Do you see Ogre and True Ogre?
You see Ogre. Yeah. The final episode, Jin gets to the finals, and then Hayachi bursts in, and he has to fight Hayachi, just like in the game. He's the second to last fight, and then the show ends with him fighting Ogre, and then Ogre evolves into True Ogre, and he fights True Ogre. And
that's awesome.
It literally, the show literally ends with him turning into Devil Jin and flying away. That's just like the game.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like, it's genuinely like, it's funny because people are like, oh, video game adaptations aren't good, but I'm like, this is honestly a really good adaptation. Like right. It's not even just like it's short. It's like 6 episodes long. They're all like 25 minutes. You can knock it out in an afternoon. Like, it's well animated. If you like Tekken, even if you like good combat anime like Dragon Ball or whatever, it's genuinely really good. I genuinely enjoyed it. It was really easy to get through for this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
highly recommend.
Yeah. I like Tekken 3, so that sounds like a rip-roaring good time to me.
I can't imagine either of you have seen this.
I'm not sure. I don't think so, but I want to say maybe.
Maybe? Sorry, no. Have you...
Oh, the Tekken anime? Yeah,
no. Fair enough. That's
the name of the game, but not seen the anime.
No, fair enough. That's the name of the game. I'm gonna be like, have either of you seen this? We're gonna get some hits. I feel like we're gonna get some hits.
Is that it for the that's it? Okay. That's it. So this one, this is one of the ones that I mentioned that I think you would actually really enjoy, Saria. Mary and the Witch's Flower. It's made. It was Ponok's first feature film, which are the same people that made the Imaginary movie, which I think I talked about last time. But I really enjoy the animation style in particular for this one. It made me think of Ghibli.
I see why you say that. It did have that style.
In this movie, basically this young girl, I think she's 11, she's in the forest or whatever, and she finds this plant, and then ends up finding a broom, like a witch's broom, and the broom takes her to this magic school where the headmaster and these other students this other teacher and stuff mistakes her for a new student. And she has to pretend like she's actually a student that's going to be enrolled there. And meanwhile, this plant seems to have given her magic powers, even though she doesn't have magic powers. And over the course of the movie, you end up finding out about this plant and her great grandmother or aunt. I don't remember what she was. You end up finding out that she was a teacher there at the school as well, and she steals the plant. Fly by Night is what the plant is called. And I don't want to give away at all because I think you would enjoy it. But it's really cute. Like, it's really cute, and it's Not long. I think it's like a
Mary
hour.
Flower, and I won't forget.
103 minutes. Yeah, Mary and the Witch's Flower.
Ooh, nice
It's
tight.
on. I believe it was on Netflix.
Okay.
I believe it was Netflix is where most of these were on one of the streaming services that I have. I just can't remember which one, but I'm pretty sure this one was Netflix because it's a newer one. It came out in newer, quote unquote, came out in 2017. But yeah, it's solid. Apparently it's based on a 1971 book, The Little Broomstick.
Oh, I recognize the name.
What, The Little Broomstick or Mary and the Witch's Flower?
Mary and the Witch's Flower. I recognize the name when you said you were watching. I recognized it, but it didn't look familiar.
All I know is that, yeah, I think it's really cute. It definitely, like I said, it reminds me of a Ghibli, like of a Ghibli one.
Fair enough. Jordan, is that it for Mary and the Witch's Flower?
That is it.
So okay.
Because again, I don't want to give away every little bit of it.
So I put this on my list and I watched it and I didn't. So Halo Legends, it wasn't very interesting. It wasn't very good.
Sorry, Halo? There's a Halo anime?
Yeah, it's called Halo Legends. It's an amalgamation of a series of Japanese artists came in, and one of them is toy animation, and it's the only good one, and it's really funny. It's a Master Chief crash lands on a planet, and he runs into a bunch of cave people who are all fighting a dinosaur, and he fights a dinosaur. It ends up with him blasting off away. And it's really, really fun. It's really frenetic. It's exactly like a Dragon Ball cartoon. It's really good. The rest of it is crap. Was that fun? Did that sound fun to you?
Harsh. That sounds harsh.
You know what? It sounds too fun. Let's talk about Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh man.
That was entirely too much fun. We need to talk about Grave of the Fireflies. See that what you just did probably just gave Jordan a big old hint about what's about to happen.
I'm guessing it's upsetting.
She went, oh my, oh no. That tells me you've seen this movie. Okay.
I have.
Okay. So when I said that, not every Studio Ghibli movie. Every Miyazaki movie is a Studio Ghibli movie, but not every Studio Ghibli is a Miyazaki movie. This is what I was talking about. Because this movie is a Studio Ghibli movie. It's done in their style, it's done in their art style, but it's not written or directed by Hayao Miyazaki. It's... Wait for Jordan can't hear me. It's not directed by Miyazaki.
Oh, okay.
It's done by one of the founding directors who founded Ghibli, but it's not done by Miyazaki. Okay.
Is that why it's depressing? Because
yes.
I'm gathering just from the reactions that it's sad.
It is
one of about some real history that occurred.
It is one of the most upsetting movies I've ever seen in my life. It's very interesting because
that's saying something.
Okay. We'll do the plot. Okay. So this movie is about a young boy and his very young sister. During World War II, towards the end of World War II, they live in a city that has been bombed by the Americans, and it's basically them trying to survive effectively. And over the course of the movie, they go to live with an aunt who sucks. The aunt kicks them out, and they go to live in a bomb shelter. And it's as the end of the war in Japan is coming to an end. So rations are getting low. All of the supplies are going to the war. Parts of their country are just getting blown off. And slowly over the course of the movie, the sister becomes malnourished. Thank you, and eventually dies. And it is
that's sad.
It is. I'm doing the not sad version of it, and granted, it is done when she does eventually die. It is done, in my opinion, very respectfully. It's not overly romanticized in the sense that he doesn't cry or get super emotional. He just kind of says over narration, she didn't wake up. She died from starvation and didn't wake up. And it is a powerful moment of silence. It is very effective. It's not and some of the imagery in this, like early on, his mom dies, and it is just, it's harrowing, especially when you're like, my entire experience with Ghibli films is like whimsical and happy, and like this is not that. This is a parade of misery. But
so kind of like a sadder version of The Wind Rises.
Way sadder and way more upsetting, but yes, a little bit, yeah. That movie, and that was a criticism of that movie, is a little too whimsical about, and a little too, because and granted, this movie is coming at this from like a Japanese perspective, right? It's kind of similar to Godzilla -1 in that way, where like they're talking about winning the war, and like we're gonna win the war, and we're gonna win, and this is what our guys are doing for the army, and it's coming at this from the perspective of they want Japan to win, but you got to remember, historically speaking, that Japan wasn't great. They weren't the good guys in this, and them winning would be a bad thing. They did a lot of bad stuff to people, and so it just kind of reminds you that in conflicts of this nature, the people who suffer are the people in the middle who didn't do anything. Like this poor little girl, and there's so many scenes in this movie of adults who like are being forced to compartmentalize just the trauma of seeing all these people suffer. They're being forced to compartmentalize this, and be cold to these poor children who like towards the end they're like, oh yeah, the little sister, she's getting bad diarrhea, and her stomach is sore, and she's really, really sick, and they go to the doctor, and like they lift up her shirt, and you just see her ribs. She's covered in this like nasty rash, and she's like, you just see her ribs, and the doctor just coldly is like, yeah, she's malnourished, and he's like, what do I do? You're a doctor, you're supposed to fix her. And the movie kind of begins with, and I had to rewatch it because it was confusing at first, but the movie kind of begins with, you see the main kid like die at the beginning of the movie, and you see his ghost. You see these people cleaning up these bodies, and this guy finds the container with the sister's ashes in it, and he spills it, and you see the ghost of the brother and the sister go off to heaven, essentially, and the rest of the movie is the flashback of how they died. But it's like, I didn't get that at first until I rewatched it. But yeah, it's one of those, like, it is a beautiful movie. This
movie sounds very depressing.
Oh, it is unbelievably upsetting. Like, it is easily, like, it was like at the end, I was like, I need to do something that makes me happy for a moment, because like
something cheery.
This hurt my soul. But it is a beautiful movie. Like, it is beautifully animated.
Some would say then that it accomplished its goal.
But precisely, yeah, it's a very effective. Like the animation it came out in 1988. The animation is stunning. The sound design is phenomenal. Like, it is a well-made movie that I will never recommend. It's hard. Like, if you want to see art, like just beautiful art, it's that kind of movie. But if you want to be actively depressed, just have something happy you want to watch afterwards, is what I would say. Like, put on like
understand what you're getting yourself into, and be prepared for the fallout.
Yeah, but it's just
Hamtaro cleanse.
Yeah, exactly. Go watch some Hamtaro.
Opposite.
Exactly. Just cleanse your soul with some Hamtaro. Good. Yeah, but no, it is. I was like, man, this is a really, really, really good movie, but it is truly upsetting. But anyway, that's Grave of the Fireflies. Jordan, have something happy next.
I was just gonna say, after that sad fest, I figured we'll talk about a children's card game. Yu-Gi-Oh! We're gonna talk about Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh, heck yeah!
I watched so I'm actually gonna combine two things, because I watched up until Battle City for the anime, and then I also watched Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie, The Pyramid of Light.
Yeah, I don't think that movie's not very good.
We're just gonna do them at the same time. The movie isn't really a movie as far as I'm concerned. It's kind of just an extended episode of the show.
Yeah.
It falls into that trap that a lot of anime movies do, where with an anime movie, you have to really do something different, or else it kind of just feels like more of the same.
Yeah. Your
And this,
antagonist has to really do something. And the problem with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that's hard to do because the only thing you can do in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie is do a card game. Like you just do a match. You do
yeah. Well, I mean, the only thing you can do is either you do a card game, or you do what they did at the end of the movie, which is when it becomes real and they're no longer doing just cards and they're summoning the real monsters. So like, but again, there's only so much you can do with that.
right.
Like
The best Yu-Gi-Oh!
without it
Movie.
just feeling like more of the show. Which, as an aside, fun fact that I learned about the show, because this was always something. It wasn't something I thought about as a kid, and then as an adult when I watched it, it was something I couldn't stop thinking about. Which was always, why does Yuki live with his grandfather? So fun fact, in the manga in particular, but even in the Japanese version of the show, his mother does show up.
Oh,
He
yeah.
has a mother.
Yeah. His dad is
in the
also
episode,
a character in there. They mention him.
no, from what I read, they never mention his dad.
Oh.
He's not a character that they ever talk about or mention. His mom is very much a character you see. To the
that I
point
know.
where in the subbed version of because she was only cut in the dub for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But in the subbed version, on the episode where Yuki is getting ready for his date with Taya, the episode 50 or whatever, right before Battle City starts, as Yugi is about to head out to his date, in the sub version, he runs into his mom, and his mom was like, because he has been talking to himself in his room because he's talking to Yami, and his mom is essentially like, "Who have you been talking to in there?" And he has this scene with her where he's like, myself. I wasn't. What are you talking about? I was talking to nobody." But they cut that from the dub version for some reason.
Yeah, because she's a superfluous character. She has nothing to that show.
Well, I mean, sure, but when you don't see a mother character at all, it then raises a question that they'll never answer because it's not a thing in the original thing of where are his parents?
I mean, they died. They died in a tragic card game related accident.
Also, what is it? The Shadow Realm. The Shadow Realm got them.
Yeah,
that's another funny thing is the Shadow Realm is a creation completely created for the dub.
Yeah, couldn't be like they just died.
It's what they used to cover any scenes of violence or like death. They just call it the Shadow Realm. Also, it's very funny. The censorship that they put in there that you don't notice as a kid that you can't help but notice as an adult is so funny to me. Like all the scenes where you have the thugs and the bad guys of Pegasus and they'll be pointing. Like there's the one scene where they're there to get Kyra, and they're pointing at him like this, and it's like in the original dub they have guns. They're pointing guns. In the English 4Kids dub, they're just pointing real hard at them. Which is so funny to me.
There's differences, but I'd only seen the English dub as a kid. Didn't even know what that was like. Another one that was more, we got guns in this. Where
that's the original Japanese version.
Yeah, there exists a uncut version of like, I can't remember how many episodes, but a certain portion of the dub where they redid it where it's closer to the Japanese version. You can find, you can find at one point you can find some of it on YouTube. Yeah,
interesting.
It's not as much fun. That shows the dub of that is way more fun. Like
for a lot of it, I tend to agree.
Although I would love to see
the silly over the topness is definitely I enjoy it. I remember collecting the cards.
I mean, yeah.
I remember there was a point where we could only afford to have one deck, and some of our cards got lifted by you. You traded a bunch of weak. You were Joey, Justin.
I did.
You got a bunch of our strong cards traded for just a whole bunch of weak cards.
That was when everyone thought that in order to play the game you had to have like the most cards. So there were people with decks that were like this tall. Decks. They're like, this is my deck. And then you found out, that's not how the game works.
You're only supposed to have like 40 cards, and people were walking around with like 80 to 90 cards in their deck.
That's not how this game works.
You're not
So either of
following
you
the
have a favorite
rules.
card,
I mean, to be
like a
fair,
favorite card in the deck.
yeah.
Did I have a favorite card?
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes White Dragon, all
I,
the way.
I always had a soft spot for Blue Eyes for sure. I like Red Eyes personally.
I mean, it's hard not to
Red,
love the Dark Magician, but functionally, the Dark Magician is a worse card. He's got less attack points and he requires the same amount of sacrifices. Blue
he's
Eyes.
he's technically correct.
I
The best
am.
kind of
I
correct.
am. The best cards are the ones that.
Did you have a favorite one?
My favorite one to play the game with is Maneater Bug because it's hilarious.
I mean,
Put that shit face down and just wait to see. I played once with a friend who did. He got a Madoka Magica themed deck when they had like that edition. He did all this complicated, crazy stuff to like. He had to like keep summoning stuff. I don't know. He did this really intricate thing. Summoned this like super Madoka Magica Yu-Gi-Oh, and then goes and attacks that face down card that I had the whole game. Maneater Bug. They're just instantly dead. That's it. So it's just such a troll. So it's got a place in the heart.
Amazing. I love it.
That's good.
I mean, I will say, card art wise, I really like the God cards. Slifer the Sky Dragon, Obelisk, Raw.
They made those legal like within the past few years. They now have legal, like you can actually play them in the game versions of those monsters now.
Do they actually?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Because for the longest time you couldn't, because their instructions and rules, there were so many like stupid little things that they could do.
They like finally like settled on like official like how to use these in the actual game versions.
Specifically, I feel like it was always Raw that made them unplayable, because like when you think about them logistically as just functional cards, both Slifer and Obelisk are fairly straightforward.
They work.
They work. Like they don't break the game entirely. They're workable cards. It's Raw where it's like he has his invincible mode. You can put like all of your life points into him because Merrick does that in one scene. So you have to make that work somehow. Where he puts all but one of his life points into it. Then there's like he starts off as the egg and then transforms into the bird. Like there's so many things with that card that you have to figure out how that functionally works as a card.
You have to know the passphrase. Yeah, what they eventually settled on in most versions is it's just you combine the attack points of 3 monsters when you summon it. That's what the video games ended up doing.
I remember there being there's a mobile game version of it where it's like they're like they just had different versions of the Slifer card, where it was like you had a card version where it was the egg, and you could use that to then special summon the regular version without having to sacrifice.
Yeah, I think so.
And then if you had the Phoenix version, then you could use one of the special effects to turn into that, and like each card then has the specific rules for the specific section.
I think
and that's how they got around it.
They eventually
which
did
that would be
early versions of it was
expensive.
Like, and we had Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Tag, and that game it was literally just you sacrifice 3.
You sacrifice the 3,
and then it combined them into one.
Which was definitely like a game-breaking thing, because if you somehow managed to, which I remember specifically in that game, that was a fun game because like you could just absolutely make the most unfair decks. So I remember having it one time where it's like the 3 monsters that I used to summon Raw each had like 3,000. I think I had 3 Blue Eyes or something. So like they each had 3,000 life points, and then Raw got the combination of the 3 monsters' life points, so mine ended up having like 9,000 life points or something, like insane. And like in that game, it was like when you defeated them, if you did direct damage, you got bonus points at the end, which the points that you got at the end of the match were what you used to buy more decks. And the more damage that you did on their life points, the more points you got, which meant the more money you could use to buy cards. So like on that one, you ended up getting just a bunch, and it was just a fun game.
Was built around one card, a ritual summon monster, which when you attack, it was one of its effect was when you attacked it, Yamato, the king of a higher plane. When you attack someone in defense mode, your attack and subtracted the difference between their defense and your attack, and that came out of their attack points, whether they were attacked or not. Points, and so I would keep the from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX equivalents to the God cards, the Sacred Beasts, all of whom are hyper context specific and suck.
Yeah, you thought the God cards were hard to summon. They make them look
No,
easy.
even harder. The only one that's even possible is the obelisk equivalent. The other one, it's like you have to sacrifice.
One was you have to have
sacrifice
three
continuous trap cards. The other one is you have to sacrifice 3 continuous magic, and then I think the monster was like effect monsters or something.
It was fiend monsters.
But it was hyper specific, and the only thing they were good for was when you use ritual summon. They don't need to be on the field in order to sacrifice them. You could just sacrifice them from your hand. So you just sacrifice one of these Sacred Beast monsters, and it covered your star cost. So you could summon. I could summon Yamato on turn 1 in some games, or I'd be like bang, and then I'd be like insta win. I just won.
He was frustrating to play against.
It was I'd be like, oh, I got a hand with the Sacred Beast, bang, and then you put as many of the ritual magic cards in your deck as you can, which is like I think 2 of each. And yeah, there's some games where I could summon them turn 1. It was really funny. The anime though.
Yeah. So sorry, we got wildly off on a tangent there. The first season's funny because you can tell that it's before they really figured out the rules. So there's just a lot of where I'm watching it where they're like, I play this card which does this and I'm like, it doesn't do that. That's not what it does. You're not playing that card right. Nope. Like the one scene where Joey's versing the zombie card guy, he's like, I play my magic card, Call of the Haunted. I'm like, that's a trap card. He's like, it turns all of my monsters into zombie cards. And I'm like, no, it lets you bring back one monster, that's it. And it doesn't bring it back as a zombie card, it's just you bring back the monster.
At a cost of 500 life points per turn.
A lot of cards that were like that in these movies. And it's also just very funny to me where it's like there's the when Yugi gets invited to Duelist Kingdom, and Tristan is looking at the card, like the invite card that invites Yugi, and he's like, it says, and you can clearly see the card that just has a picture and no text on it. He's like, the card says da 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 da, like invitation rules da 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 da, and I'm like, I don't know what you're reading, Tristan, but it sure ain't on that card. There's no words on there.
To be fair,
that's because in the original dub, like in the original Japanese version, the cards that they show did have the writing on the bottom.
Very much were Japanese.
It was in Japanese. So in the English version, they made the big version of the card, which just have the pictures to cover up all that Japanese writing. Because for whatever reason, back in the 90s, you couldn't show any Japanese writing. It just was a big thing they didn't want.
All that pesky Japaneses. Jordan, is that it? Is that it for Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yeah, that's it. Yu-Gi-Oh! And real quickly, then there's Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie. We'll quickly touch on that. It's fine. I remember it was kind of like the Pokemon movie where they gave you cards.
Yeah, we watched that one in theaters.
When you watched it in theaters, and we got the Blue Eye Shining Dragon.
And the Pyramid of Light.
Yeah, and I think I got the Pyramid of Light, and you got Blue Eye Shining Dragon.
Lou got Blue Eye Shining Dragon. The Pyramid of Light sucks.
And we had to cheat. Because we wanted to play using the card. We had to cheat because we didn't have Blue Eye's Ultimate Dragon.
Yeah, that's the only way.
And according to the card, the only way you can summon it is by sacrificing Blue Eye's Ultimate Dragon. And we were like, we'll just do it where you could sacrifice Blue Eyes. That's how we'll get around that.
The funny bit about that is Blue Eye's Ultimate Dragon's a better card than that card.
It's a stronger card, but its effects are not better.
I mean,
the effects of Blue Eye's Ultimate make it so that any trap or anything like that, effect monster, it only affects you if you want it. That's absolutely better than the Blue Eye's Ultimate in terms of effect.
I suppose that is true.
If you attacked, for example, to go back to the man-eating bug, if you attack the man-eating bug with Blue Eye's Ultimate, it would die. If you attack if you attack the man-eating bug with Blue Eye Shining Dragon, you can choose for that effect to not take effect. So it would not die.
Oh.
But the bug would.
Is that it for Yu-Gi-Oh?
So that one would be worth going through all that effort. That's it for Yu-Gi-Oh.
Thing. I was playing with like 6 of us in a circle, all just doing a group game, and we're watching our one friend. He's just taking like all of his turns. We're just around trying to summon these special cards, and it was so complicated the way his specific deck worked. And he did all that, and the first thing he goes when he finally, after he's playing it for probably like an hour, like summons the card. He chooses to attack my face down card from the whole game, and I happen to be mad at him.
I would die laughing.
It was so funny. I think that's just probably what we called the game, because he was like, I was
the table. I'm out.
We were talking about
walk out.
I'm out.
Good times.
So that's all my rapid fire, Justin.
Oh, interesting.
Because I just combined my 2 Yu-Gi-Ohs.
Gotcha. Okay, I've got 2 more. Are you guys familiar with a little series of books or movies called The Lord of the Rings?
Heck yeah.
What? No, I've never heard of this famous book series. What? Yes, Justin. I know Lord of the Rings.
Are you aware that The Lord of the Rings did an anime?
No.
I did know that.
To see it though.
The Lord of the Rings did an anime called Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim, and it's about Rohan, the Kingdom of Rohan, and the King of Rohan, and I'm so bad with names, and his daughter. They're trying to fight off Gondor, and they're having a big meeting, and one of the other lords of Rohan, he shows up and he's all like, I don't like you, King. And so the King's like, I'm going to show you what's what. And they get into a fight. And so then the King punches him in the face.
What for? Show me your honor.
He's like, Papa! And he punches him in the face. And he accidentally kills him. And he's like, what? I didn't mean to do that. And so then his son tries to fight him. And then the King's like, oh, I'm going to rough you up. And then the son escapes. And then he comes back with an army of thieves and whatnot for revenge. And he kills the king and his sons, and then only the daughter survives. And it's honestly pretty good. It's really I mean, it's not like flawlessly animated. Don't get me wrong, but it's very beautiful. Like there's if you like sweeping Lord of the Rings-esque shots but anime. It does that very well. The fight sequences, like there's a sword fight towards the end that's genuinely really, really good. Like I'm like, this is badass. Like it's really sweet. She's a really fun character. Apparently she's not a big character in the Silmarillion. So they've kind of beefed up her role a little bit. I don't feel like it's at the expense of anyone, but I don't know if you're that kind of person who feels that way about stuff, you might. It's really well made. I was surprised. I was like, yeah, man. When I'm like, you should do stuff and make it anime, this is what I mean. Like most things would work as an anime, and this is an example of this really works as anime. My one thing, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes long, and it is entirely too long. It's entirely too long. That's just it. By an hour and a half into it, I was like, how is there still 45 minutes left? Like, it's that kind of movie. It really luxurious.
Lord of the Rings, though, like
that's exactly that's the same thing Jordan said. Jordan said the same thing. He said, "It's Lord of the Rings. What do you expect?" Like,
those things are always long and arguably bloated.
Like, I got kind of bored. I mean, to be fair. Like, my thing is, like, if you like Lord of the Rings, this might be for you. I'm not a big Lord of the Rings person, so I didn't go, like at the end, spoiler alert, I suppose, at the end, Gandalf and Sauron show up, and I was like, oh.
Wait, Sauron, like the tower, or, like, does he still have a body? When is this in the chronology? Has he lost his finger?
Not Sauron. Saruman, sorry.
Oh, Saruman. Okay, that's very different. That makes much more sense.
Which, like, I don't know, it was kind of odd because they look the same as they do in Lord of the Rings, but this movie is supposed to take place 100 years. And I know that wizards aren't human, but like...
I was going to say, you need to remember that the wizards aren't human. They're like magical angel people.
So were they just, like born into they were just born looking like Christopher Lee that does in the second movie?
Short version, yes, I think so.
Oh, okay. So they just perpetually look the same?
I'm pretty sure they're essentially supposed to be timeless, like ageless, like they don't age.
Because, like, yeah, she runs into some orcs or whatever who are looking for rings, and so then at the end, Gandalf is like, "Hey, I heard you were looking for orcs, looking for some rings. You should come hang out with me. I know a Lord of the Ring."
Sorry, puts the sunglasses on. What?
Da, 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 da. Yeah, it's pretty good. Like I say, if you like Lord of the Rings and you like sweeping and well animated fantasy epics, there are some points where the animation does look a little cheap, or I'm like, this looks a little cheap. But that's mostly in the segments where it's like long segments of characters just talking. But the action looks good. Like I said, the action looks good. It's fun. And then second thing, my other Studio Ghibli movie that isn't a done by Hayao Miyazaki is called Tales from Earthsea. And which makes this one interesting. Oh yeah, I can't imagine either of you have seen the Lord of the Rings anime. You, because obviously not.
Not yet, but it's on my list.
It's on Crave if you have Crave in Canada. Okay, in Canada you have Crave. It's on Crave.
Good to know.
My other one, my other Studio Ghibli movie that is not Hayao Miyazaki. It's called a movie called Tales from Earthsea, and it is directed and written by his son.
Oh.
And it is based on a story, loosely based on a story that Hayao Miyazaki wrote. So he was not directly involved in the movie, but his spirit is there, and it is all right. All right.
High praise indeed.
It's okay. It looks bad at times. Like some of the animation looked bad. Like it looked really cheap and like off model, and like it reminded me of like some of the worst Dragon Ball Super episodes. But the story is basically there's a young boy, he's a prince, and he kills his dad, steals a magic sword, and he runs into this wizard who is trying to stop an evil wizard from breaking down the walls between life and death. And he runs into a young girl and he saves her, and they wind up at this lady who is played by Mariska Hargitay and takes care of him, and they end up beating the evil wizard. It's a pretty by the numbers fantasy story. And the evil wizard's evil, and it turns out there's a twist at the end that it turns out that the little girl is actually a dragon.
Okay.
All right.
And it's based on like 3 or 4 books apparently, or 2 or 3 books, and you can tell because like things that feel like they're supposed to be big revelations that are revealed over time happen like really quickly in succession. And I will say, like, it's meant to evoke Miyazaki because that's obviously his son. He wants to like live up to the dad's name, but like it's a tad overly violent for Miyazaki, if that makes sense. Like I don't consider any of his movies to be overly violent, and that's kind of their charm. They're like whimsical, and they're almost like.
Though I'm like,
yeah, that's true.
There's some
true. I guess I would maybe equate his movies to be more like fairy tales, like almost like Japanese fairy tales, where this wants to be, but just it wasn't. There was blood and guts, and it just wasn't working for me. I don't know.
It was different. It was different for you.
Yeah, and so that's where I was like, it's trying to be a Miyazaki movie, but it's not working. Is how I would put it. And so that it really made clear for me to go back to Boy and the Heron. The interactions between what is, in my opinion, the Miyazaki insert character and the boy being like, "Hey, it's cool. You're not good at this. Maybe you don't."
Well, not that he's not good at this. More just it's okay for you to create your own world.
Yeah, maybe you don't need to do my thing. I did the movie. You don't need to do that. Like
you can do your own movies in your own style and create your own world.
Right? Like it just kind of felt like it was him, like because he made, I think it was The Wind Rises. that was supposed to be his last movie, and he was going to pass on his legacy to his son, and his son made this movie, and this movie wasn't well received. Like, nobody really liked it. And that bit at the end of The Boy and the Heron kind of felt like him, saying to his son, being like, I forgive you. I forgive you for that.
That's, I mean, I agree with it feels like a passing of the torch. I don't know that it feels like I forgive you. I don't know that I agree with that part of your assessment, but I definitely do see that scene at the end of The Boy and the Heron as him being like, it's okay for you to create your own legacy. Mine will be fine. I had my time.
Yeah, and I just again, having watched this and like knowing that it just wasn't received well, nobody really liked it, and like everyone had such hopes for him because like he was Miyazaki's son. I kind of felt in the way him being like, it's cool that you didn't do good. That's fine. And I got that vibe the first time too, where I was like, knowing what I knew about this movie not being exceptionally great, I could feel that energy permeating the end of that movie, and being like, this feels like a final movie. Like, this feels like a finale for Miyazaki's all of his work. Being like, I'm shutting shit down.
Feels like a crescendo. That's for sure.
Yeah. That's it. That's it for the rapid fires there, Jordan.
So we already did one of my have scenes.
Okay.
That was Boy and the Heron. So we'll do, and we did one of your have not scenes, which was Beastars, right?
Yeah. That is accurate.
So so I guess you can start with the have scenes.
Okay.
Because you have two of them, and I only have one.
Sure. Let's do one. Okay. I will be shocked if you haven't seen this. Are either of you familiar with a little anime called Sailor Moon?
Heck yeah.
I am aware of it. Yes, I've seen it.
Now there's a second part to this question. Did you grow up watching it as a child? Did you watch the dub as a child? And I'm talking the original Deke dub.
Yes, I believe so.
Her name is Serena.
I watched what was... I watched the North American adaptation.
The theme song is "Fighting Evil by Moonlight, Saving Love by
Evil by Moonlight."
I saw okay.
Living life by
day. My intro into Sailor Moon World was that version, but then I became aware. So many actual, the Japanese version's very different.
Your reaction to this has been the reaction of pretty much every Sailor Moon fan I've spoken to this week. They all exactly the same thing. You said it pretty much exactly the same way they did, which is, I can summate it this way. I said I watched the Deke dub for fun, and it was varying degrees of why would you do that, and oh, I'm sorry.
there are such better versions. Why did you do that one?
There's much better versions of that anime you could have watched. Why would you pick the bad one? Because I grew up with, there's two animes I grew up with: Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, and it was this dub of Sailor Moon. That's where my nostalgia lies. That's where my love lies. And I never thought it was bad until my friends told me it was. And watching it this time, which, as an aside, very difficult to find. Like, I had to go on a blog on a random website to find it, but I found it. And, you can tell.
They want to bury this version.
Fun fact, the creators of the manga and anime hate it so much, they sued Deke so they can never sell it or release it. So you will never find an official release of it, because they hated it that much.
Challenge accepted.
But it's very funny because it's one of those times where I can tell something is off. I can tell the characterization that they've gone with doesn't match the footage that they're using, because like Serena, I think her name is, what's her name in Japanese? Usagi, right?
Usagi.
Yeah. Usagi.
Because it's supposed to reflect the fact that she looks like she has bunny ears, right?
Bunhead is part of the thing.
Yeah, is what the guy calls her, right? Yeah. So Serena is what I'm going to refer to her as. That's the Deke version of her. Is awful. Like, she's terrible. She's mean to everyone. She complains about everything. She whines and cries constantly. And her very nature
That's so different than the version that I watched
Her
a while ago, where she loves everyone and wants to be friends with everyone and is super
her
nice to everyone.
the nature
So it
of
Did you
sounds
her
like,
watch the Sailor Moon Crystal version
yeah,
of
that's the version
Reiview?
that I watched.
I love that version.
her
It's
her
art style is really cool.
her very nature and the way she behaves is totally at odds with the fact that she's supposed to be a superhero. So she just complains about everything, um, everything all of the time. And the other funny bit is, and I don't know, it is the fact that his name is Darren in this dub, but
Darian.
is the fact that he's tuxedo mask, is that supposed to be like a mystery? Like, are you supposed to not know?
In the when you say you, do you mean as the audience or do you mean the characters?
The audience.
No, as the audience in the version that I watched anyway, it seemed pretty clear from pretty early on.
Okay.
Maybe like the first couple episodes, they're supposed to be like who is he? But they do away with that in the Crystal version anyway. They do away with that pretty fast.
Because like this dub wants it to be a mystery. They want you to not know who Tuxedo Mask is, because he'll just show up randomly and he'll be like, he doesn't even do anything half the time. He just shows up and he's like, "Don't give up, Sailor Moon. I'm here. I'm Tuxedo Mask," and then he just leaves. Like,
So
and like
if there's one thing that like superhero stuff and this by extension have ever taught me, it's domino masks don't hide your identity. You would be able to tell who he is right away.
Right?
I can tell who he is right away. You can see all but this part of his face, like all but like this of his face. Guys, can you tell who I am? Can you tell? Like it doesn't hide enough of your face.
He doesn't,
right? Like
he doesn't do it. He shows up and he's like, there's one episode literally where he shows up and he's like, "Don't give up on yourself, Sailor Moon. Bye," and then he leaves. Like,
well, there's like a
what were you
conflict happening
contributing?
too. Like he'll see some stuff go down, and just be like, "Here's a word of advice, bye." And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm just here to inspire you.
With
Bye now.
But the show very much wants you to be
You
like,
got this.
you got this. You don't need me.
You've got the superpowers, not me. Bye-bye.
But like but the show absolutely wants it to be a mystery. It wants you to not know who Tuxedo Mask is, except for every time Darren shows up, it plays the musical sting. So we might as well be wearing a neon sign that's like, "I'm Tuxedo Mask," in case you couldn't figure it out.
I mean, to be fair,
okay.
that the Deke version of it, isn't that supposed to be for like 8-year-olds?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it very much is like every episode is trying to teach you a lesson about, and it's very funny because every episode ends on a Sailor Moon says, where she's supposed to be giving advice, except for some of them are just her fighting with other characters. Like there's one where it's like it does the music as if she's supposed to be giving the advice, and it's just her and Sailor Mars arguing.
That's the biggest thing that I remember of that version of the show is Sailor Moon and Sailor Mars like hating each other.
Oh
even
no,
though they're supposed
Sailor
to be
Moon
friends. To the point where when I got to her showing up in the Crystal version, and she was just immediately super nice and they were best friends, and I was like, this doesn't feel like the Sailor Mars I know.
Yeah,
this
she's
feels
supposed
weird.
to be she's supposed to be the hardened badass, and yet she constantly argues or yells at Serena. That's the whole gag. And then the Sailor Mercury, she's the British mousy Brit. She's mousy and British, and she does the tech. And then I just got to Sailor. I think I'm just about to get to Sailor Saturn, and she's Sporty Spice basically.
I mean, there's the two who in that version are cousins, and they're definitely not cousins.
They're definitely not cousins. They're definitely
who are they? Pluto and
Neptune and
Uranus.
Neptune and Uranus.
Neptune and Uranus. Right. Yeah, in that version they call them cousins, and it's like they're not cousins.
But yeah, every like one of the episodes is literally like a lesson about why you shouldn't over exercise, And it ends with the Sailor Moon going, and remember, kids, it's like something from the 80s. I remember, kids, you don't want to undereat or overexercise too much. That could be bad for you. The key is to only do it a healthy amount. Sailor Moon says. It's one of those shows. But there's a really funny...
Good with her hands.
There's a really funny episode where the evil bad guy whose name is Jediah, he shows up...
gemstones and minerals and stuff.
There's an episode where he shows up as like a fitness instructor, and he's like, here, you have to train on the bicycles, and then you get in this obviously evil looking rejuvenation chamber, and he's like, my name is Jed, and it's very clearly the bad guy wearing a stupid hat, like not even remotely like disguising himself, and Sailor Moon doesn't instantly recognize him. What are we doing here, Sailor Moon?
So Sailor, I mean, to be fair, she's like 14, and I think she's supposed to be blonde and dumb.
I mean, she's pretty dumb. I will say I respect how long, in terms of storytelling, like, it doesn't...
And plus, do you not remember being 14 and dumb? I remember being 14 and very dumb.
That is true. I was pretty dumb. I will say, the surprising bit to me was that it takes so long for the other Sailor Scouts to show up. Like, Sailor Mercury doesn't show up till, like, episode 4 or 5.
So, one thing, how much of it did you watch?
About 11 episodes.
Okay, I don't imagine you are. Are you gonna keep watching it? Because I would be fascinated to hear how different Mini Moon is in that version. Because in the Crystal version, that whole plot line, I find it weird. It's weird.
Oh, it gets really strange in Crystal.
It's weird. She's weird and
the Deke
uncomfortable.
The Deke dub doesn't go that far. I know at a certain point it switches over and then it became Sailor Moon R, which was that's where you got the twins who had the tree. The only version of it I know is the one where Canadians out there, Sugar from YTV plays Mini Moon.
Yeah, Mini Moon. Yeah.
That's all I remember.
All I'll say is in the Crystal version, she gets weird. It gets weird. It's weird.
Fair enough.
I find it weird.
Arc is fascinating.
Yeah.
I love the cosplay just as her look. It's pretty.
That's fair.
Bubblegum witch vibes. I was like, okay.
It's just the character motivations are what right from when she shows up and it's just she's a weird character.
It's strange.
I just appreciated that. Yeah, it's the first she gets her powers, and then there's 2 or 3 episodes on her own, and then Sailor Mercury shows up, and then there's 2 episodes just the 2 of them, and then Sailor Mars shows up, and then there's just 2 episodes just the 3 of them, and it's it takes a while for each of the teammates to show up. Again, I'm 11 episodes in, and not all of them are there.
Nice.
But otherwise.
Are there any final thoughts you have for Sailor Moon?
The Deke
version.
The Deke version. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. It's nostalgic for me.
Do you feel like it really deked you around?
I mean, it definitely tapped into my nostalgia bone.
Fun.
Okay. So if that's all you have to say about that, we'll move on to my have seen.
I have to say about that.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I do need to dip.
That's all good.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for sticking out.
Thanks for hanging out as long as you did.
Yeah, it's been fun chilling. If anyone listening wants to find me, Saria Foxx on many parts of the internet.
We will. Yeah, we're gonna get your Instagram. Instagram is the good hub for all of the other places on the internet.
Insta, Spotify, OF.
Fair enough.
And for your benefit, later on, once we're done this, and Justin cuts all these up into shorts and all that, when I talk about Child of Kamiari and My Oni Girl, watch those, because those are 2 that I think you'll enjoy.
I will. All right. See you, friends. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
See you.
Good to see ya. All right, Jordan, go on.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. That was fun. Yeah, I'm glad she got to stick around for Sailor Moon, because
yeah, yeah,
that was for them. I put myself through that because I had a good that and Hemtaro. I was like, I'm genuinely happy that they knew Hemtaro. Like I feel like that just they give me major Hemtaro vibes.
I could see why you'd say that.
Right?
So my first have seen, um,
They don't have to put up with the sorry, just real quick. They don't have to put up with the Rick and Morty anime.
Yeah, that's all me. Second theatrical. So once upon a time on this show, I did Pokemon the first movie. Now I'm gonna do Pokemon the movie, which has a name that I hate. Pokemon the movie 2000 instead of just Pokemon the second movie or Pokemon Don't Fuck with Nature. There's so many better names that it could have had, but because it came out in America in 2000, it's forever relegated as Pokemon the movie 2000.
I think to be fair, Pokemon the movie 2000 is its American name. It does have a Japanese name that is not not Pokemon the movie 2000.
Yeah, I don't know what it is in Japanese.
Probably Pokemon the Great King Lugia. He hucked a Lugia.
Oh, yeah, there it is. The literal meaning of it is Pocket Monsters the movie, the Phantom Pokemon Lugia's explosive birth. Which I'm not going to say it's a worse name than Pokemon 2000.
I mean, I'm sure it probably has a way less literal translation.
Probably, but that's its literal translation. But it's not one of the better ones, in my opinion.
Pokemon the movie 2000 is nobody's favorite Pokemon movie.
It's not the worst one. Like, there's elements of it that I like. But it's just... Yeah, it takes place during the second season of Pokemon. During the Orange Islands section.
Yep. With nobody's favorite Pokemon character, Tracy.
I mean, yeah, he's there. He's barely a character in this movie. He
exists. He is barely a character in this movie.
But I mean, I like this movie because I like Lugia.
It's funny. Lugia is the source of my greatest tragedy in Pokemon. Back when I was a kid, I was playing Pokemon Silver. We were doing the Pokemon Silver cloning cheat, and I accidentally turned my Lugia into a Dawn fan.
You idiot!
Also, it's the reason. I mean, it's the.
But I mean, Lugia was always cooler than Ho-Oh.
I do agree. Lugia is cooler than Ho-Oh. Also, it was because of Lugia that I stopped watching the anime. Because there's an episode of the anime where they find a Lugia, and they're like, I don't recognize this. But at the end of this movie, they don't lose their memory, so they have no reason to be like, we've never seen this before, because they definitely have.
I mean, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, Justin.
Timey wimey, you.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. I will say, so okay. This will be a fun. Of the three birds, which one's your favorite, and why is it Articuno?
It is. It's Articuno. I don't know why just design-wise. I don't like Zapdos. He's too pointy. I've never really been a fan of Moltres. Yeah, it's always been Articuno.
I mean, I'm surprised that you say it's Articuno because he actually looks like a bird.
I mean, Moltres looks like a bird.
No, not in the same way.
I mean, nobody likes Zapdos. Who likes Zapdos?
Zapdos is just too pointy. Aesthetically doesn't look pleasing. No. Moltres I don't mind, but I just see him and I think of Phoenix, a less cool Phoenix.
It's true.
Articuno is just
cool,
sleek.
He's cool
and cool.
He's cool
and blue
and cool.
There's this. So one of my big issues with this movie, and it's not a thing that I really thought about as being an issue until this moment. It has too many Pokemon that talk.
Isn't there just two?
Yeah, Meowth is supposed to be the talking Pokemon, but this one has Slowking, this one has Lugia, this one has Meowth.
Oh
How many
yeah.
talking Pokemon? How many talking Pokemon are there in the world?
I mean, to be
I
fair,
mean,
Slowking has always
granted,
been confusing.
Lugia is using psychic talking, but like Slowking literally just talks with his mouth.
I think Lugia doesn't talk in the. I think he only talks in the dub. I think that's the thing they
I
did for the
mean,
dub.
I could believe that. I'm simply saying we're talking in the dub. In the dub, there's three.
Yeah, but I mean, Lugia, I think it's a pass. It's a legendary Pokemon, and also technically, I think Slowking.
That's why Lugia doesn't bother me. It's really just the Slowking, which I'm like, why can it talk?
It's a established as a I not so much in this one, but later on, I think they established it's a super powerful psychic Pokemon.
Okay.
So there's other times where
I'll,
Slowking shows
I'll
up
give
and he talks
I'll,
using
I'll,
the psychic ability.
I'll give it a pass this one time. But the other thing which I find funny about this movie is it's always funny in a movie when they say, "Oh yeah, we're playing such and such musical instrument," and then they play the music and like I'm not a super musical guy, but I know that there's no way that instrument is playing that sound.
Yeah, those are always funny.
So like in this movie, when she's like, I have to play this song when you have the things, and that completes it, and it's like supposed to be like this special kind of ocarina, and I'm like, that's a flute. What I'm hearing is a flute. That's not coming
flute.
out of that.
That's a damn
There's
flute.
no way that sound is coming out of that instrument. That is just a normal flute that I'm hearing. Also, fun fact, did you know there was a tie-in video game for this called Pokemon 2000, which I was just reading about it, was a first-person online-only adventure game released by Cyberworld International Corporation in 2000, created as a promotion for the second video game for AOL Time Warner. It played within their special web browser, and it could show web pages on one side and simple Wolfenstein 3D like 3D worlds on the other. However, due to a contract dispute, the game was pulled and is no longer able to be played after being available for 4 weeks with over 1 million downloads. It was considered lost media until it was found in 2023 by a developer and was preserved.
All right.
There's not much more to say about this movie. It's not a very long movie. It's like, what, 82 minutes?
Yeah, it's not. I just remember it just being fundamentally disappointing because it's just not as good as the last one.
It's not, but what's funny is it had a budget of $30 million, and it made $133.9 million.
Oh yeah, it did quite well.
It had that big fat Pokemon name on it, so it was always going to make money.
It also had a huge marketing budget and got like promoted the hell out of it. I remember the commercials for it. These movies did exceptionally well in theaters until like the fourth one. That one didn't do well, which is why the next one started. Which is why they stopped going to theaters.
But that's all I have to say about that. What's your second half scene?
That's all I had to say about that. I'm really glad I chose to do Sailor Moon first, because my second half scene is a movie called Dragon Ball Super Superhero.
I like that movie.
That movie's good. It's really good. Like I watched it again. I'm like, this movie's just so good because like
I still don't love the animation.
You settle into it. Like that's what I find. I mean, Daima is way prettier in terms of its animation, but like I settle into it every time. Initially, I was put by it, but the storytelling is just so good. I love the fact that it's a Piccolo movie. I love that Piccolo's the main character in that movie. The only scene that for me is like, in my opinion, kind of a waste of time is the one where it's Goku and Vegeta fighting. It goes on for too long and it completely derails the plot of that movie. I love how like up until Cell Max shows up, there isn't really much of a threat. So Piccolo just uses it as a training exercise, which I think is really funny.
Yeah.
I love all the bits involving you know me. I love domestic Dragon Ball, so I love all the bits where it's like Piccolo is on a first name basis with the pickup lady at Pan's
Yeah,
daycare.
he's just a babysitter.
Yeah, he shows up and he's like, "Oh hey Piccolo, oh hey Cindy, Piccolo, why are you dressed like that? It's important, Cindy, that you don't ask any questions or tell anybody about this. Is that cool?" And Cindy's like, "Yeah, it's cool. That's fine. That's all right." I don't love Orange Piccolo. I don't love his design. It doesn't work for me. I also don't love Beast Gohan. It's too much. Like it's over designed in a way that's not really interesting looking.
I also just for so why so it sorry words the Gohan one, is that still Super Saiyan? I don't remember.
Nobody really knows. No, the theory is that it's the Super Saiyan version of the Spirit Gohan form or whatever that he gets when he from so it's that, like it's basically like the Super Saiyan Blue equivalent of that. You know how Super Saiyan Blue is supposed to be the Super Saiyan version of Super Saiyan God? That's the theory anyway. That's what the idea is supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't think they've explained it really at this point.
I think they kind of did in the comics and the manga, because they've gotten up to Dragon Ball Superhero Super in the manga. I think they explain it, and it was something to that. Yeah, something to that equivalent, where it's like, yeah, it's a little bit stronger than Super. It's supposedly stronger than Super Saiyan Blue.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
interesting.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens after Daima. Like, don't be surprised when Toyotaru like folds Super Saiyan 4 into Dragon Ball Super. There's no way he doesn't.
Probably. They'll probably have a thing where Frieza Black will show up, and Goku will be like, "Well, I guess it's time for me to finally bust out this old form," and he'll go Super Saiyan 4.
And don't be surprised when Super comes back if it's rebranded. It's got a different name to disassociate itself from Akira Toriyama, and it's like fully like, okay, yeah, Toritaru's in charge of this now. They go full bore. Because the fans like his shit. I don't like his shit. I think it's all bad. But that's not entirely true. I saw excerpts of Granola, and while that is a objectively stupid name, he's an alright antagonist. He's not straight evil. His deal is that he wants to kill Saiyans because he thinks they're evil. And Vegeta's like, nah, man, he thinks they work for Frieza, and he hates Frieza. And I will say, conceptually, like, I don't mind Moro. I thought Moro was kind of alright.
No, I don't know who that is.
He's the guy, he's a goat. Moro the Planet. Have
you I don't read the manga.
Haven't been following along?
No.
I don't read it either, but I follow along with the new storylines. That's how I knew about Black Frieza.
I only see what occasionally pops up on my TikTok or what's in the anime.
Fair. But you know about Black Frieza.
That popped up on my TikTok.
That's fair.
And you very specifically complained about how his design was lazy.
His design is lazy. I don't like Black Frieza. I think he looks terrible, and I hate him conceptually. There was something that popped up that made him kind of interesting that I'm pretty sure is fake, but it would be kind of neat if it was real.
Is it the one where you see him and Cell, and they're both wearing hoods, and he's like, I need to defeat Lord Beerus, and Cell was like, I don't care what you have to do, like as long as I get to kill Gohan.
Yeah, I saw. I don't know if it was that one, but it was a variation of it where he's like, yeah. Well, I think it's just Cell there, and he's got a hood on, and he's like, I'm looking to my new training partner. And
the one that I saw, it was Cell and Frieza. They were both wearing hoods.
Oh, and I saw one where it was like he's standing over his shoulder and he's wearing the hood. He's like, I need a new training partner, and then it turns out to be Cell. I imagine they might be similar, but okay, I'll give you that. That sounds all right. I'm not.
I mean, I would like you to bring back real Cell.
Right.
That's my thing.
So like
he has the potential of being in. There it is. That's the one.
I'm not against.
It says it said like the thing. Again, who knows if it's true, but it says that it's Super Chapter 105, Frieza's training partner.
Yeah, I said it's the same one. Yeah.
And yeah, it's got both Frieza and Cell, and they're both wearing hoods.
I'm like, all right. I'm okay. I'll do that. That sounds different. That sounds interesting. A Frieza Cell team up. All right, okay. Now you've piqued my interest. But other than that, don't want Frieza. Don't like Frieza.
He's been done. We've had enough of him.
Yeah, Frieza is overdone. Anyway, I enjoy this movie. It's really cute. It's really like, yeah. There's not super high stakes. I enjoy the fact that Goku and Vegeta aren't in it. And that's really, again, Piccolo's the main character. He's the main character of that movie.
He really is.
Yeah, really good. Proving once again that Dragon Ball is only good when it's written by Akira Toriyama.
That's fair. Anything else to say about that one?
I do also enjoy the fact that the bad guys aren't really bad guys. The whole conflict is just one big misunderstanding.
Yeah, I enjoy that too.
Dr. Jiro's grandson or whatever, he's a genuinely good guy who didn't really
he's not evil.
Yeah. I love how he's gonna turn himself in at the end, and Mom was like, whoa, hold on just a minute. I might have better ideas for you.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed that one. I had a good time with that one.
I did.
I think I only watched it once.
Yes, you did.
So shall we move on to have not scenes?
We shall.
Okay. I will go first. The first movie that I watched that I had not seen is called Child of Kamiari Month, which is another one I think Saria would enjoy. It was produced by Leiden Films, which I had never heard of before. Directed by Takana Shirai. Came out in 2021, and on Netflix internationally in 2022. But follows Kana. She has a passion for running until her mom dies. Then she and a rabbit named Shiro and a demon named Yasha race to Izumo in Shimane in time for the annual Feast of the Deities, collecting feast offerings along the way to deities that can't go to the feast. And it's really cute. It's really whimsical. While she's doing her duties of collecting the feasts, time is like slowed to like in movies where like they're moving at hyperspeed and everything moves very slowly. It's one of those, and so you get to see a bunch of different of these deities. You see the first one that they go to is like a bull. There's a big dragon one. It's really cute. And then by the end of it, she learns, like, she goes through the process of group and realizes that she does still loving and like love running. It's really, yeah, it's a really cute one, and the art style in this one doesn't so much remind me of Ghibli, but it has that same kind of whimsical feel. You saw me watching it the one day.
Yeah, it looks fun.
It's 99 minutes, so it's not like too long. That's the one thing I like about anime movies is, for the most part anyway, I don't find that they overstay their welcome.
Yep, except for that Lord of the Rings one. It did.
That's fair. I understand.
You're right. They're normally like at most an hour 40, and you're like, this is an ideal length.
I'm just looking at the cast list to see if there was any. There was one of them, I think it was the witch one, had a voice where I as soon as I heard it, I was like, that sounds familiar. And I think it was the witch one. And it had the one of the teachers was I'm struggling to think of the actor's name. He plays in Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. He plays the professor that they stay with.
Oh yeah.
I think he's also Slughorn.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
I think that's the same guy.
I forget what his name is. I don't know who you're talking about. Oh, Jim Broadbent, I think is what his name is.
All I know is he has a really distinct voice, and I recognized it instantly. But this movie is fun, and I fully recommend it to anyone who has Netflix, because it's on Netflix.
All right. All right. Jordan, is that it?
Child of Kamiari month.
All right. All right. Jordan, are you ready? Is your body ready? Jordan, are you ready to hear about?
I'm ready.
Oh god, his screen's freezing. Oh god. Oh god. Jordan, you ready to hear about the Rick and Morty anime?
No.
Jordan.
You mean the anime that I don't consider to be an anime? Go on.
Jordan, strap in. Are you ready to hear about the Rick and Morty anime? Created by. So okay,
you have my permission to continue.
Good, because I was going to continue whether you wanted me to or not. No, okay, so this Rick and Morty anime, it begins as 2 anime shorts called Rick versus Genocider, and Rick or Summer versus Evil, I believe what it's called. The first one was pretty successful, and I like it. It sort of implied that Rick and Morty were the same, and that like Morty would eventually like become Rick, and it had evil Morty in it, and it seemed to confirm that like details about evil Morty. And so based on the success of those and their desire to be weird, they gave the director of those shorts, whose name I'm not going to attempt to pronounce. He also did another anime series called Tower of God, I believe. And they let him pick this. And this, because it's going to be funny, I'm going to describe the plot of this thing to you, which is unbelievably convoluted. But, like...
And stupid.
In a way that, like, to be fair, in a much more truncated version of this, the show would do an episode like this. The basic plot of it, story of it, is Morty falls in love with a girl, and they have a tragic romance. And he's done that like multiple times on the show. It is in this version of it, it's really stretched out. And this show commits kind of the ultimate sin of doing the one thing the actual show never would. It does time travel. So, the first episode is very confusing, and this is where I said, you would enjoy this.
So then, okay, before you deep dive into it, I immediately have a problem with that because Rick has a strict no time travel rule. He does not respect it.
Absolutely.
He does not respect it.
I don't disagree.
And so that breaks character for me and makes me not like this. Especially because, as I understand it, this is supposed to be our Rick.
That's just it. So, as an adaptation, okay, fundamentally, as a it's not a good adaptation of Rick and Morty. A lot of the characters are out of character. Like Jerry is this weird goofball kind of guy. Summer, and everyone's off in a way that doesn't feel right. Like, this story is not uninteresting in and of itself, but as a representation of Rick and Morty, it doesn't work. So, okay, here's the story. So, the first episode sort of begins with... And each episode is sort of told non-linearly. So, like, it shows scenes out of time and out of sequence at random points. And so the first episode is like Morty is in this like simulation where he keeps living this different lives and he keeps running into different versions of himself, where he meets this alien girl and this random guy. And it turns out that girl is part of an alien race that experiences all time all at the same time, but also like can see her future but cannot change it. And so she sees that her future is to constantly and never-endingly fall in love with Morty. And every time she falls in love with Morty, it ends tragically. And so this ends with her winding up in Rick C-137, so our Rick's universe. And she winds up there as a regular girl, and her and Morty once again fall in love. And Rick is constantly experiencing events that aren't his. like realities that aren't his. He keeps experiencing them, and he starts experiencing the life of another version of Rick, which the show calls Mullet Rick. And his version of Morty, he runs into Morty and is like, "Oh, it's been a while since I've seen you. You died in my universe." And it turns out that his version of Morty left him like a long time ago.
Mullet Rick's version.
Yeah, he went off and he became a character known as Space Morty, who is effectively, like, you know how they have Space Beth? He's effectively Space Morty, and he's a massive hero in that universe, and that's where he meets the girl, and he ends up dying, and it's after he dies, she basically convinces Rick to turn her into pure, like, entropy, which is like pure antimatter. And the whole show, they're fighting the Federation, basically, and Mullet Rick says that she can save the girl, but in order to save the girl, they have to destroy the entire other universe. And Morty can't do that because he ultimately realizes that, like, he's not Space Morty. Like, he's like, I'm never gonna be the version of Morty that you fell in love with. Like, I'm never gonna be him. And she, like, kills herself, ultimately destroying the universe and ending the loop. And the whole idea is that her and Mullet Rick are constantly locked in this time loop where he turns her into entropy and just constantly restarts the loop. But he has managed to, like, push out of the loop by pushing her into, like, our universe.
Okay. This sounds bad.
It's okay, is what I will say. Like, if this wasn't Rick and Morty, like, it's got enough and to be fair, I'm doing this very rapidly. It's got enough twists. I'm not going to encourage you to check it out, mostly because it's not on anything we have access to. Like, it's not worth putting effort into watching it like I did. But it's like 10 episodes long, and the story, as it, like, initially, it's really frustrating. Like, I'm like, this is really bad. Every episode is told, like, the fifth episode is this weird memento style, like, story where it's like Jerry is like a superhero who everyone is trying to go after, and it's about finding out why he's a superhero. But the show is told out of order, so it's hard to follow.
Yeah, it just as you're telling me about it, it just sounds to me like a mediocre anime, which would be bad because it has fucking Rick and Morty shit on it.
Well,
like
that's...
it being Rick and Morty to me feels like a deterrent, not a deterrent, but like a detractor, like a negative thing.
You're not wrong. So, like, as an anime, like, the concept of, like, a girl who creates a time loop and is stuck into it, and it's about her and, like, endless
that would be
universes.
interesting.
Like,
that's
story,
pretty standard. That's a pretty standard and interesting idea.
Yeah.
But
it's not the idea.
It being forced to be attached to the Rick and Morty stuff seems like it just doesn't. It's not doing it any favors.
Like one of the videos I saw said that it feels like it's its own anime that had the Rick and Morty shit slapped on top of it. And and, like, the thing that's frustrating is that, okay, so I watched the dub. Like, this thing exists in Japanese, and apparently it's even more confusing in Japanese. But the dub, at the very least, they get voice replacements who sound kinda like the original voice cast some of the time.
What's the point at that point? Just go watch Rick and Morty.
And like, there are bits that are kind of like there's an episode where, like, the sword that Jerry winds up with, like, they bring back the Prime Jerry from the Cronenberg universe, and he teams up with our Jerry, and that's kind of fun. And then there's a kind of a funny moment where, like, Mr. Nimbus shows up, and he's Mr. Nimbus, and he's doing the bit where he's, like, thrusting, but he's saying really, really corny, like, anime dialogue, you know, like that self-serious shit that JoJo's Big Adventure, whatever, JoJo's Adventure, like, makes fun of, where it does that, like,
no,
like, and that's funny, like, and that would be funny. Like, there's real funny, like, they're saying cliched, and if it were a parody of anime, and it were a satire, and you got the original voice cast to come back and do these really, like for example, like when South Park did anime, like something like that.
And
That
see,
would be funny.
That's where for me, and I said this all the way from the beginning when you told me they were making an anime. It works as a joke. It works as a short. I like those shorts.
Yeah.
It works for a short. It doesn't work for an entire show.
I
Like
look that I don't agree with.
That short would work as part of the main show, and like that's part of a joke or something. But it doesn't work as, for me anyway, it doesn't work as its own show. It doesn't need to be a show.
I don't 100% agree. I do think if you had found a story that was a bit more coherent and you told it coherently and you brought the original voice cast back, I don't agree. I do think that this as it is doesn't work. I will not dispute that.
But to me, the way you do a Rick and Morty anime, and at that point, I wouldn't. It's not a Rick and Morty anime. To me, it would be a Morty anime. But to me, the way I mean, you could do it as a Rick and Morty anime. But the way you do it for me is you do it like a card captor style, where it's slice of life that happens to have the zany stuff. So like, it's from Morty's point of view, and he's like, "This is about my summer vacation with Rick."
Yeah,
and
like, that's pretty fun.
Each episode is him going to a different planet, and it's like it very much it would make me think of how I would do it. Is kind of like a Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, where it's like all these crazy things are happening, but he's talking about them like as if they're normal.
Yeah, and then the other.
But even then, to me, I
like as an idea, because like it's a really stretched out version of it. Like this, they have enough. There's enough story in this series for like one episode. And that would work. This would work as one episode because the twists and turns are interesting enough. It being a different Rick locked in this loop with this girl like that, and his memories bleeding into Rick's memories, like it pays off in a way. Like initially, like again, the thing that was frustrating for me about this show was when I went to like kind of learn about it, I watched a lot of videos of people talking about it because that was the thing that dissuaded me from checking it out, because I was excited for this because I really like those shorts and I was like, okay, I want to see what he does when he's being given a bit more meat, you know? And I saw these videos that had these thumbnails were like, it's the worst thing ever, this thing sucks, this thing's whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch the show first and I'll come back and I'll watch these videos. And I watch it and I get about 4 episodes in and I'm like, yeah, this is bad. This is incoherent nonsense. It's not really, the dub is kind of like the anime equivalent to like, you know those videos where they take something, put it into Google Translate and then bring it back into English? It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like there's moments where like they're doing Rick and Morty jokes, like fourth wall breaking Rick and Morty jokes, but they don't work because every other moment of the show is 100% serious. So like it wants to do the serious anime thing, but then every once in a while it'll attempt a Rick and Morty joke that it's just not working. But it's not, you're like, okay, I need to see how this pays off. And once it starts hold on, let me finish. Once it starts to pay off, the ways it pays off are interesting. But they're interesting in spite of itself. Like, this would be better, like you said, if it wasn't Rick and Morty. Fundamentally. Yeah. Fundamentally, that's the thing.
Like, for me, there's certain things where it's like, yes, I can see an adaptation for them, right? Like, best example of that is, like, the Marvel superheroes, where it's like, I can see how you would do an adaptation for that and turn that into an anime. Rick and Morty, for me, was never... It's not one that I can see in that form. It doesn't work for me. At least not in the intention of which they're going about it.
No.
Like for me, if I was gonna do a Rick and Morty anime, other than the one that another idea of what I would have done for a Rick and Morty anime, and this would have had to be a long thing that they set up. That they knew they were going to do this in the future, so they don't do anything with the character in the actual show. But I would have set up Evil Morty in the actual show to the point where he's running the Citadel, and then that's what I would have made the show about.
That'd be pretty sweet. Have it be about a random Morty like working his way through the rebellion in the Citadel.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah, this
but
was...
you would have had to know, and then at that point I would lean into the fact that it's making fun of an anime,
Yeah.
and I would make it where the version of Morty that we're following is like he's got the katana, he looks like a Japanese version. Heck, even make it so he is a Japanese version. And I would have, and then I would have leaned into that.
Yeah,
but
big problem with this is that it's supposed to be...
what they have doesn't.
The big problem with this is supposed to be C-137. So a bigger issue with this would have been solved by just having him not be our Rick, and then you'd be like, oh, it's anime Rick. Okay, that's fine, that's acceptable. It's a universe where Rick is anime.
I still would have thought it's stupid, but would make it better.
The thing with this is not that, again, it's not that a Rick and Morty anime absolutely works. Like, and if you go into this making fun of anime, absolutely, it's the kind of shit that Rick and Morty would make fun of.
Not for an entire show. I could see an episode.
This is the correct length for what it needs to be. Like, if it was any longer, it wouldn't work. But the fact that it's nice and short, it's not that it's anime that's the issue. It's that it misses the point of what makes Rick and Morty. It's missing it's not as sardonic. It's too earnest, and it's too also. The story
it just doesn't do it for me.
The story being tied again. If you gave it this is not me recommending it. What I'm saying is, if it ever popped up, you'd probably find something interesting in there, because the story is not uninteresting. It's just not Rick and Morty. Like, if you turn off the fact...
Again, from what you've told me of the story, it's not the story that I have the problem with. It's the inherent, I don't see Rick and Morty in that style. I just don't.
If you turn off your brain to that...
I shouldn't have to.
Yeah, but regardless, if you turn off your brain to that... you'd probably like it. The thing is, it's a hard show to like until, I think the only really good episodes are, the last ones, which is what made those YouTube videos so frustrating, because I'm, looking to see what they think, and all of them are like, I stopped watching it at the 3rd or 4th episode. And I'm like, yeah, but that's where the show gets interesting. Like, that's where all the reveals happen and where it explains itself. Like, I'm not saying it's great, but it's not I wouldn't say it's bad. I would say it's definitely a weird, surrealist Japanese guy's idea of what Rick and Morty is. And it is. Like I say, the show would have done an episode. In fact, they have. It's very similar to the Planet Tina episode, where it's Morty falls in love with a girl, and it ends tragically. They've done this episode on the show. It's just, this is really prolonged, and I think that's kind of the difference.
Yeah, no, again, for me, it has nothing to do with the story and everything to do with the style. For me, it would be the equivalent of, if you tried to do a Family Guy anime, or a Simpsons anime, or an American Dad anime, King of the Hill anime. Those don't work for me.
I've watched all of those as anime, but there's nothing. But the thing is, the difference between is the story for Rick and Morty, at its heart, is kind of complex, especially in the later seasons. So there's stuff to do there that you can do a bit more with a bit more gravitas.
Yeah, again, you keep going back to the story of it. It has nothing to do with the story for me. It's the style. It does not, for me, style-wise, it does not work as an anime.
I mean,
it just doesn't. Does not do it for me.
You could take anything and you could slap an anime aesthetic on it and it would look interesting.
No, respectfully, I disagree.
Because I
think certain things are meant to be in a certain style, and to me, that's a Western style, Eastern style.
Any artist should be allowed to interpret any art the way they want to. If someone out there, for whatever godforsaken reason, wants to make a Family Guy anime, I would totally watch a Family Guy anime.
We need to clarify here. I didn't say he couldn't make it. I said it doesn't do it for me. It doesn't do it for me. I don't like.
You're missing out. These are always funny.
I don't think that. Yeah, Rick and Morty to me.
There's a really funny SpongeBob anime that's really funny, where it's really ultra serious and it's very funny. But the thing is, it all depends on your intention. Yeah, if they had approached this where it's like, yeah, we're gonna do. The thing is, it wants to know that it's Rick and Morty, so it wants to have Rick and Morty jokes. But the thing is, it would work. This would work if you got the voice cast, the original voice cast of the show. Then at the very least, you would be less off put by it.
Well, it wouldn't need to be the original. The issue ultimately stems from the fact that they want this to be the C-137 version. But it's like, if you had just said this was a different version, then his voice being different isn't necessarily the biggest deal.
No, I know, but I'm just saying this. If it is going to be the original version, they should have got the original voice cast. That would have made
yeah, exactly.
It would have made it funny. That's the thing, is like that hearing Rick say this weird anime dialogue is not funny when it's not Rick. But when it is Rick, because Rick wouldn't talk like that, it makes it funny. Like that's the thing. And I know the theory is that this thing got cut off at the knees and lost all its funding because Rick and Morty dipped in popularity, so it wasn't as popular. So they couldn't get away with doing a weird spin-off. That I will say. I hate arguing against something's existence, but this thing was never going to do well, and the fact that they thought they would shows an arrogance with this property that is astonishing.
Yeah, like I said, doesn't do it for me.
No, didn't. Here's what I will say: it didn't work. I can't be like, you know what, Jordan, you should go subscribe to Substack or Stack TV and go watch it. It's totally worth it. It's not. If you happen to see it and you're like, one day you're like I've got nothing else to watch, and it sounded weird.
I'm drunk and it's a Tuesday and I need something to watch. Let's put this on.
I'm curious. My curiosity was piqued.
So, do you have anything else to say about that garbage?
No, it wasn't garbage. It was all right. It was okay. Like I say, you're doing that thing where you're being biased. If you gave it a chance, you'd like it.
I'm good. So, nothing else to say?
No.
All right. We will move on to my final movie of the week then, which is called My Oni Girl. Another one I think Saria would enjoy. So, the quick summary of the movie is: main character is a first-year high school student. He can't refuse requests and wants acceptance by everyone. You should relate. I
don't.
He's struggles with his social life, lacks close friends, and then one unusual summer, it snows. He meets I'm gonna butcher this name, Sumugi, who's an Oni girl, a demon girl, and she is searching for her mother in the human world. And she, unlike him, is unconcerned with others' opinions and brings him along on her journey. And, of course, this being a Japanese movie, and Japanese movies are either about falling in love or going on a whimsical journey. This does both. They go on a whimsical journey and fall in love. And spoiler alert, she saves her mother. There's snow gods. There's some cool fight scenes. It's cute. It's fun. It's whimsical. It's 112 minutes. It came out on May 24th, 2024. Overall, I thought it was fairly enjoyable. I'm looking at the cast list to see if there's any names that stick out to me as being super famous, and no, not really.
I wanna be.
Although the name Kif Vanden Hovel is funny to me. Also,
Vanden Hovel.
Also, the person who plays the girl, Sumugi, is played by someone named Victoria T. Washington, and I'm like, wonder if she's related to George Washington.
Maybe. Maybe she is. Maybe she's not.
Reception-wise, it holds an approval rating of 63% based on 8 reviews on Rotten Tomato. Average rating of 5.9 out of 10, which I think is too low. I think it was a good movie.
I think
but it's on
it
Netflix.
Was all right.
It was made by Studio Colorido, which made a Penguin Highway, Whisker Away, Burn the Witch, Drifting Home, and then the most recent one is My Oni Girl. Also, apparently they did an ONA. I don't know what that is, which was Pokemon Twilight Wings.
All right.
And Star Wars Visions Volume 1.
All right.
Yeah, it's a Netflix original film. I enjoyed it. Like I think the animation is pretty. Not much more to say about it. That's one thing about these movies, Justin, is there's only so many ways you can say nice things about a thing.
It's true. It's true. Is that it?
So, that's my final movie for the week.
And then our final movie of all time before we quit this show forever.
Whoa! Speak for yourself. I will be here next week.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, he's right. He's right. No, we got to talk about. We went out this week and we watched a movie you all will probably never see. No, we're kidding. We went out midweek. That's how badly we wanted to make sure this movie got supported.
Don't tell anyone. I wasn't supposed to.
Oh. We went out midweek after work. Wink. To watch the Looney Tunes, The Day the Earth Blew Up.
To be fair, we didn't say what day.
That's true. We went one day after work, before the show, to watch the Looney Tunes, The Day the Earth Blew Up.
Yeah, no. It was a fantastic movie, beautifully animated. 2D animation needs to make a comeback because damn was it good looking.
Oh, it was very beautiful, hand drawn. Looks like a classic Looney Tunes cartoon. Daffy Duck and Porky Pig, right back to the classic Daffy Duck. Not this weird, gross Ren and Looney Tunes by way of Ren and Stimpy, upsetting Looney Tunes cartoons that they've been doing lately, and not that weird Daffy. I mean, it touches the domestic ones a little bit, but.
Little bit.
I saw one review I saw said that it's not for Looney Tunes fans today. It's more for fans who grew up in the 90s and watched the Looney Tunes, but like not the modern Looney Tunes at the time, like reruns of the cartoons from the 70s. And I went, as that exact demographic, he's absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how they have moments where it's like, yeah, it has the this is the cartoon, and they like the opening stuff, and then the da 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 kind of stuff. I love there's I mean, there's a lot in this to love. There's references to old things, like when he's like, "This duck is about to run amok," and I'm like, I get that reference.
Some of the characters legit. Farmer Jim. What would Farmer Jim think? And he's just this like static JPEG image moving across the screen every time they have to animate him moving.
So
it's just
funny.
Slightly off.
So funny. I love how, spoiler alert.
Spoiler, yeah, we're gonna real quick. Great movie. Go watch it. Pay for it on digital if it's not in theaters. We're gonna spoil the shit out of it. There we go.
Support it. Support it.
It's
Really
I want good. It's really funny.
I want that Wile E. Coyote movie.
Yeah. Support Ketchup. Support them. They're the company that you can all thank Ketchup for this because they're the reason why this got put in.
I always knew I loved ketchup.
Always knew I loved ketchup. Okay, there now ample spoiler warning.
I love how the entire movie you think that the alien is the bad guy, and then they finally stop his plan. He's like, "I was trying to save your planet, you jackasses!"
All for the precious resource. Boba tea. Yeah, I know. The gum monsters are legitimately upsetting. Like his introduction is legit kind of scary. I'm like, this is good. This is good in like a good solid 90s. The bad guy's kind of scary.
I will say it was a little bit of a missed opportunity. You have Daffy and you have an alien from space, and you didn't have Marvin the Martian show up in a cameo role.
I will say that, I was missing Bugs, so I was like, I wish Bugs was in this. But the Porky and Daffy, they're an iconic, like that's a real throwback to like back in the day. Where the OG, it was Porky and Daffy. Shout out to Eric Bauza, he's absolutely fucking killing it I mean, he's practically everyone in this.
Yeah, I mean, he does in particular, he does a very good Daffy. Like he was passable for me, like
Yeah,
very
he's.
passable.
I've seen people say that there hasn't been anyone better since Mel Blanc, and I'm like, he's not wrong. Like he's so. I'm not a lover of his bugs. I do like his bugs. My favorite Bugs Bunny is besides Mel Blanc, obviously, is always gonna be Billy West from Space Jam. Like that's the Bugs Bunny I grew up with because I watched Space Jam so many times.
I'd watch this again.
Oh, I for sure will watch. If this gets on anything I can get access to, I will for sure be watching this again. But yes, as a result, as we discussed earlier, because of the company who did this, somehow that Acme Coyote movie might come out, and like apparently there's also a Bugs Bunny musical.
I'm almost inclined after we're done here to see if I can just straight like on Amazon or something buy it.
That'd be nice. That'd be good. But yeah, and apparently there's also a Bugs Bunny musical movie. That same deal, almost done, got shelved. So maybe that'll come out. Like, yeah, I'm hoping like this will be like a real renaissance for the Looney Tunes. Cause like, yeah, man, they to me I love the Disney, but like
they're the alternative. They're the ones that are across the aisle. That like Mickey is there and Bugs is his counterpart. Like you can't have one without the other.
I mean, there's that, but there's just also the fact that the Looney Tunes, they just have more edge to them than they're a bit more mischievous. They're a bit more violent. They have a bit more edge than the Disney characters do.
I mean, I would put it this way: they're loonier than Disney.
Yeah, and like there's just so many good, solid Looney Tunes shows that came from their spirit. Like without the Looney Tunes, there's no Animaniacs or forget Tiny Toons. But the Animaniacs are like 90% Looney Tune. Like they're like the Looney Tunes grandchildren almost.
Absolutely, they are.
So,
isn't Animaniacs also Warner Brothers though?
It is Warner Brothers, yeah.
Yeah.
And they had quite a successful.
That's why they're able to have crossovers with Tiny Toons.
It's true. But it's funny because, and this is, I think I put in Snow White 2025. I'm 1,000 times glad that I watched this instead of Snow White. Go watch this instead of Snow White.
Snow White.
Fuck Snow White. Go watch this instead of Snow White.
Fuck the Disney live action remakes. We need to support actual new 2D, like new things. New things.
Go watch 2D
this is
animation.
New.
Yeah.
Support this.
Like it's genuinely like it's hard. Movies like this are hard to review because it's like you don't want to give away too much, but it's genuinely really good. Like if you've got kids, get out there with them to watch it this weekend if you can. If
I mean, there was a kid there watching it when we were there, and they seemed to be having a blast up until the last like 10 minutes.
When they got very bored, but
yeah,
like I from what I heard last, I had heard it was going to get pulled on Wednesday, and then they extended the theatrical run, so it will at least run through this weekend. Like companies need to start just like leaving it in theaters. Like just leave it in theaters for a couple weeks, and it'll slowly make money. Because again, the opening weekend is dead. It's dead. Like it's dead.
Yeah,
it's not
especially with kids movies.
Especially with kids movies. Like there's so many of these Disney movies that they're like, what was the one of the more recent Disney ones did that? Where I can't remember which one it was, but there's one of them that they were like, it's a massive bomb, and then they left it in theaters, and then it became a huge hit because it just sat in theaters.
Yo, that was It was the one that Wild Robot, wasn't it? Wild Robot did that?
Oh, maybe. Or maybe it's Encanto. Encanto did that?
Or it might have been Encanto.
Or was it Inside Out 2? One of them, like it was Elemental. That's what it was. It was, everyone called it woke and said it was going to bomb horribly, and then it sat in theaters for a month and became like $1 billion movie.
Well, I mean, yeah, when you leave a thing there longer, of course it's going to make more money.
Right?
Like, especially a kids movie where it's like, yeah, the parents want to take their kids on like a Tuesday when it's cheap.
Right. That's when we. Right. It's cheap. Yeah, you want to go when it's cheap. You should go on Tuesdays. Cineplex, you should sponsor us. But seriously, go take your kids to this movie. Pay for it. Support it. Support. Like, there's nothing more frustrating than people being like, oh, it's all Disney Channel. Disney remakes and sequels. Why is it only remakes and sequels? And then like nobody goes and watches these movies. Like I was just happy to see it was as full as it was, and it wasn't full enough.
No, no. There were more people there than I kind of expected.
Yeah, same. I was way more than I was
Especially
expecting.
especially when we watched it. But then, who can
Right?
say?
Who can say?
Who can say when that was?
That's it. That's it for the week. That's it for. Thank you, Saria, for stopping by for the little bit that you did. That was fun. I love doing anime. I know I said that this would be the final chapter for anime for us, but this week I realized there's still so much more anime we haven't checked. So to come back for season 5 when we have anime part 4.
Return of the anime.
Return of the anime. But that is
Yeah, I mean,
part 1.
there's still like 12 more Pokemon movies.
There's
Justin.
at least 10 more Pokemon movies.
Definitely at least 7.
There's at least 6 more Pokemon movies.
I mean, there's at least always one more.
I mean, there's at least one more Pokemon movie. Anyway, but that is only part 1 of our return, our third return to the world of Japanese material. That's part 1. Next week, we're going back into the world of the live action of Tokusatsu. Jordan will be watching Kamen Rider, ZO, and such related materials, as long as it's in that genre. Normally it's not Japanese, but we will make special exceptions. Like I will be watching B Fighter, Metal Hero B Fighter, and I'm gonna watch Big Bad Beetleborgs as a companion, as part of that, to find out how that show becomes. Because I'm fascinated. I'm about midway through it. I'm fascinated by how that show becomes Big Bad Beetleborgs. Very interested in that. Also, probably gonna watch VR Troopers, as well. Look forward to that. I might watch some Kamen Rider Orb, not Kamen Rider Orb, Ultraman Orb, because I told a commenter I would last time. And I hear that series is really good, so we're gonna try to watch some of that. Godzilla, maybe get some Godzilla in there. It's all gonna be live action. It's gonna be guys in suits punching each other. It's gonna be a good time. That's next week. No special guests unless someone wants to drop by, but no one's scheduled. It's just me and Jordan. We talk about that. It's mostly Japanese that week, this week, and yeah, you gotta come back for that. Jordan, where can they find you?
I do Minecraft Monday on Mondays on my Twitch, SethGore187. So y'all can come check that out.
Y'all can go find us on the Tickety Talkities. We're on the Tickety Talkities. Spur the Moment P on Tickety Talk, and I'm on Tickety Talk, Justin Spurr. You can email the show. It's justin'sbusiness@gmail.com if you want to sponsor the show. If you want to be on the show, we have a little Google form you can fill out. Let us know what you want to talk about, what you want to do, what episode you want to do. Discord. You can come hang out, join the Discord. We have the Discord there. Spur the Moment Patreon. Go plug that. You go pass $1. Visor.ai. Go use Visor.ai. 5% off if you use our code. It's in the description. 5% if you use our code. And you help the show. We help the show if you do that. Check out Saria. Check us all out. We'll see you next week for Kamen Rider versus Metal Hero. See you then, everybody.
Bye.